out of here.
I like to open it and check. I'm a bit creeped out. But why? This again. Who is it? Bitch, who is he? Hey. You guys are really sus. Sussy baka? I got my underwear in there. Bitch, I'm about to take your underwear off. I'm gonna put the fucking... Why won't you?
He's coming out of the glory hole.
Get back in your glory hole, chicken.
Cock is going in the glory hole.
In Soviet Russia, cock beats you.
Yeah, beat his ass, beat his ass. Oh, glory hole. Oh.
His inner... Sword on, he's coming out of some sort of intergalactic glory hole. I'm not sure if he does, but I'm trying to get later prints. No, I did not. No, I did not. Show's over. Without her face. From inside box, scent of mommy. Maybe true mother there. Stone box hard. It hurt. Steel rope in the way. Can't see mother because 4 stones. Yeah, not only is like half my friends' grammar bad, they also don't use punctuation. So I feel like I have to read their text like this sometimes.
You doing?
Not naming names. Still would.
When get started. Where we at? No. There it is. How you doing, bud? You working? I'll finish this tonight. I think I can. We shall see. So how loud is this going to be? Yeah, just this night and one more, then I'm off. Nice. You're off Sunday. Skip, 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 skip. Oh. Let's motherfucking continue. I forgot where I was and what I was doing. Oh yeah, I was getting chased.
That was crazy. Those things had got me. No, Sally, don't even think about it. You've got to get out of here.
Here. Escape the art center. Bet. Oh. What? Try this then. What's over here? Oop. Anything for me? Scared the monsters are gonna pop in here. They're about to. Oh,
I'll take this.
They're gonna break in. They're gonna kill me. Sir? E? Alright, I speak PlayStation around these parts.
This place looks totally different. I've never seen that huge statue before.
Please, I don't feel like dealing with, whipping angels. Don't like it. Please don't move, don't chase me, please don't move, please don't chase me. Making noise. First, play a good game. I'm almost done with this one, and I like it.
There's the exit. The exit's locked with a weird thing. Of course it is.
What's up, Jay? Hey, good stream today. Lock the canary door. Alright.
It's locked from the other side.
Fucking course it is.
touch me. Don't look at me. Please don't move. I don't want to do this. Do I want to laugh real quick? Sure. Imagine if I just said no. Well, we'll be happy when you're gone. We'll be happy when you're gone. We'll be happy when you're gone. That's not nice. Dusk Noir. Oh shit. Up, Deej, check Discord. No, let's see. Do I have to mute this? Yeah, Griffin taking something, right? Did you say bo nigga? What did you say? I say your kid? Nope. What's he saying? Bald nigga. Okay, I thought that might have been it. That's funny. Did you tell him to say that? Or he's just calling you a bald nigga? You grew up so fast. Nice. What do you have to tonight? Did you stream today? Oh, damn, it's kind of loud. Okay, so that opens. Every door. Can I open this door?
It's locked.
I was bumping that song the night before, and yes, I'm bald, so she woke up this morning and just called me bald. Hell yeah. That's funny. How old is she? It's like 1. Two? Damn. How many you got? You got like 3? Making that up? I feel like you have 3 of them.
It's locked with a chain.
Yeah, I got 3. There's 3 too many. Yeah, that was scary. I thought I was gonna step in the water for a second. First, hey, what up, Paul? Tell her I may be bald, but at least I pay rent around here. Yeah, that's true. Tell that freeloader to fuck off.
It's locked from the other side.
It's fucking locked. Oh yeah, there's the stairs. And then there's this spooky place. I can't go up the stairs. Oh, this is probably where I get the fire extinguisher. I only know I get a fire extinguisher because it's in the controls. Imagine a little tan girl waking you up to call you bald nigga. Yeah, that's pretty great. Pretty good. Oh, damn it. I mean, I've been able to like brute force these puzzles so far. This one can't be that hard.
One of the valves is missing.
Oh. God damn it. Where the valves at? Where the valves at?
So many mannequins. What are we doing to them?
Oh. It did something. I can't walk over the fucking cable? That's crazy. Alright, boy. Weird. Blaster mask. Enemies are gonna attack me!
It's locked with a chain.
No! Don't! Oh, actually? Okay, yeah, I need the other valve. Which I think I'm gonna put this back and then I'll get it. Whoa, where? Oh. Right in the butt. Where was the art room? The office. Oh, it's the office? I thought it was like an art classroom or something. I think it was a battery. Yep. But I think I could wait on the batteries. Use a little bit more. Ah, I'm scared. Any room key? Any room. Oh. Gotta be that. Where all the paint's at. Yep, that looks like a painting room to me.
It's locked from the other side.
Bitch. On. Oh. Is that what the X means? Oh. I thought that was the objective. I didn't know it meant like, oh, take the key here immediately now. Oh shit, he's back. He's back. I don't want to go upstairs anymore. Alone. You're what? You're... that's a weird looking U, but I think it's saying ugly. Yeah, you're ugly. Poophead, haha, loser, I hate you, freak. What did this girl do? Jesus Christ, these kids are fucking evil. Who did you piss off, girl? How do I get up there? Oh, I need a can.
Yes!
What? Get that shit out. What? Where? Hey, can I kill you? Oh my god, that sound.
Don't hide.
You're not the boss of me. Where that bitch at?
Are you there?
No. Fuck off. Please. Go away!
Here.
No! I don't think the flashlight's gonna work on you. It's gonna be one of those enemies, huh? Get your path down first. Can I stealth you?
You can trust me.
No, I cannot. No. I don't think I can trust you. That's just what someone I can't trust would say. Alright, how the fuck do I get out of here? Okay, this way.
I love you.
No, you don't. Thank you.
Let me help.
No, I'm good.
Come here.
I'm fine. Oh, shit. Okay, where are they at? Where are they all at? I got one. Just you?
Are you there?
Alright, what did I get? I got the valve. The valve goes in that room. How do I get in that room again? I'm scared. It's long. Oh, there's a vent. Alright. You can't see me. I don't think you love me. Oh, wait, that's right. How did I get in there? Oh, it's through that room. Okay, okay. Oh, she crouches. Turn around, whore. Oh, is there a vending machine? There is, yeah. I want to. Here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna go look over there. I'm never gonna see you again. God. It actually gets kind of spoopy. Do a puzzle with them bitches in here too? No? Good. Stop it, get down. I'm talking to my cat. Get down. A challenge. Okay, you go this way. And then you do it like this. Okay, got it. I don't wanna. What do I have? Am I done here? Can I use the ladder to get somewhere else? Oh. That bitch is still down here. Probably. Where am I going? I ain't got shit. I ain't got fucking shit. Oh, the elevators to the second floor, I think. Oh shit, wrong button.
This is not how the art center is supposed to look. Now it looks like a museum. But how? Statues wrapped in chains. They must keep it from falling.
You can trust me.
I don't think I can. Get out there. Also, where are you at?
Don't hide.
Yeah, I think I'll keep hiding. I miss the shadow monsters. I don't have to worry about anything then. Alright, cool. Oh. Where do? Okay, there's fire over here. The canary door. The objective? What are you doing? Why'd you do that?
Already there?
Where are you? Still down there? There you are. Okay. Yeah. Could I?
Hey, that canary. It looks like the piece that's missing in the door.
I hit it? I feel like I'm gonna hit it and then this bitch is gonna like run over here and kill me.
Come here.
Yep. I didn't even do nothing. Alright. If you're gay. Fucking Welcome back, your boy. What up, Dry?
Let me
Mwah.
Are you there? I
No.
love you.
I'm gonna wait for her to do one more cycle, then I'll go up there and see what's up.
Don't hide. I love you.
Appreciate it. Okay.
That must mean something.
I'm fucking scared. Where'd that can go anyway?
I love you.
Fell. Alright, it's fine. There will be more cans.
Let me help.
No one is gonna miss you. Alright, the camera won't let me move, so that means I just gotta go straight here, I guess. Oh, front door, nice.
Perfect. Just what I need.
It's like Mr. Freeze's fucking... his gun. Right? Like infinite and... Oh, I can probably freeze them bitches. Alright, I wonder. And then... See this from here? Probably not. Electronic pellets can be frozen! Nice! Good news, everyone! Space age tech. It's gonna melt. Ah! Okay. Huzzah! What are you up to, Dry? You playing anything?
Don't hide.
Okay, where? I don't know, I wanna hide. And Rocket League, VC with Paul and Cyber. Nice! Tell them all hi.
You can trust me.
Oh shit. Didn't expect that. I thought I was gonna freeze it and then do the flashlight. That's why I left. And I'm playing another game you don't like. You're trapped. Okay.
Let me help.
Where'd that bitch at? Oh, there she is. God damn. Freeze monsters? Now, how long are you gonna be frozen? Asking for a friend. Oh god. She's gonna thaw! She's gonna thaw! What's up here? Oh shit! Where do I go? Where do I go? Where do I go? Actually, I'm gonna refreeze you. Stay down, bitch.
Hey, that canary. It looks like the piece that's missing in the door.
I know. How do I get it down? Do I freeze you too? You can't see me. Yeah, we know you hate good games. Now, for the most part, I think he's got good taste. But I do agree. I'm not a fan of Rocket League. Yeah, I gotta move this somewhere. Elevator? Oh, no, over here. Ah, okay. Oh, shit! I didn't think she was a sprint at me. Oh, fuck. Damn it, they're everywhere. Alright, yeah, we know you hate good games. Oh yeah, and then be gone, bot. Hey Dry, are you able to make my chat bot, like after it bans a bot, can it say be gone bot in all caps? You know how to do that? Like be gone bot. You're kind of cool. Let me check. Be a lot cooler if you did. Yeah, I can also make that thing where I can do TTS. You actually might be able to, but please don't. I'm about to play games, so I'm going to do that later. No. Oh, shit. Oh, that killed me? Oh, dang. That's my first death. Can I at least be in this room? Okay, good. Thanks, game. Can you see me? You on patrol? You patrolling? What?
Well, it's not the weirdest thing I've seen today.
It is pretty weird though. Okay, so it's these two. So I'm gonna put you here. Right, does that line up? Yeah. And then I think I should hide. What games are you gonna play? Rocket League?
This will come in handy. I can't pick up that gear now. I lose my fingers.
You're doing Split Fiction? Oh, nice! Why aren't you streaming that? You should absolutely stream that. What does that do? Try and do this from safety.
My gear is missing. It'll never work like this.
Oh god. Usually Dry just plays Split Cheeks with Paul. That's a good game too. I feel like this is supposed to stop the wheel from turning. So there's another thingy. Can't open you yet. And then yeah, this is supposed to... Or do I have to have the water frozen too? Oh. Oh. What the fuck? Turn off. Come on, think, Joey, think. Oh, god damn it. Joe. Darn. Alright, I'm not afraid anymore. I'm not afraid anymore. I'm a little afraid.
Nice.
Jake only played games from the 80s. Hey, what up, Cyber? How you doing? My love. Are you playing anything right now? Rocket League. Never mind, you're playing Rocket League. I knew that. Oh shit. Oh, nice. My deal. Nice, I'm gonna do that later.
Yes, that definitely did something. If I break the last one, the whole thing will fall. I might need really want to see a break.
I have the power to say 2 lines at once and an inhaler. Hell yeah. It's my mutant ability. Come over now instead of later. On my way, bubba.
Don't hide.
I do dig this game. It's not amazing, but it's good.
You can trust. Let me help.
Why did the ladder reset? That's fucked up. Okay. Making sure I hear left and right accurately. So I can freeze shit now. Oh, I gotta go downstairs, I think.
Are you there?
No. What the f-
Come here.
No! This is my safe spot. Get out of my safe spot. By the way, Chad, this guy lied about playing Outlast Trials on Sunday. Oh, to be honest, I slept all of like Saturday and Sunday. Except Saturday like night. Give me time. I need a time. I need to make an appointment. Lies. Give me time.
Finders keepers.
Oh shit. Okay, I'm glad they didn't kill me. BTS liar.
Don't hide.
Oh shit, there's another one. They're everywhere. Go left or right? I go left to the upstairs, I think. But what's over here?
I love you. Let me help.
I wanna. I don't want your help. No.
Are you there?
Oh god.
Is that?
A mind flayer. What are you doing? Oh. Controller vibrated and I got a little spooked. Bitch at? Where's bitch at?
I love you.
Everywhere.
You can trust me.
Achoo!
Let me help.
I want your help. Miss. Sick kid. Where's the other? Oh, there it is. That it? That it? We done yet?
Let me help.
No? Yeah, you can help by letting me know where all the goopy eyes are.
Are you there?
Storage room.
You can trust me.
I don't think I can. Get off. Yes, it's good. I will after stream.
Love you.
What if I'm losing my mind? Maybe it's that. Or what if Emily is not even real?
Emily
Look,
doesn't even real.
Crazy Sally. She still sees her cousin sometimes, you know? She sees a lot of weird things now. She's totally crazy.
Yeah, it's good to go. Let's have a few laughs.
You can trust me.
Biker problems? Right, this is the average bike girl's day. Yeah, I got it. Okay, but I didn't go down and get it. Did I just kick the hornet's nest? I'd be scared.
Guess that was a bit much.
Lock the canary
Hopefully it
door.
smashed one of those stupid mannequins on its way down.
That probably is.
Don't hide.
Her voice kind of sounds familiar. Oh yeah, go down, baby.
Are you there?
How's Rocket League? Oh, there's eye up there. Okay. Is bitch gonna be able to see me? Probably.
Hide.
Have you played this before, Cyber? It's like Silent Hill for babies. How's Rocket League? I want you to do that. It's like Silent Hill for babies. Did you play this, Cyber? I'll be fucking losing now. No, I'm just kidding. I was rooting for you, baby. There's gotta be something. I guess where I go, but I think there's more over here. Let me keep peeking. Ghost! Went on an undefeated streak. Oh, right on, man. How many? I need a can. All right, I'll get it. I'll be back. Don't. Stop looking at me. You know what? Asthma's acting up. Dude, I'm 5 hours into this game. I know inhalers will heal me. Dumb fuck. How many is a lot? I don't know. I don't play Rocket League. 2 could be a lot for all I know. I'm gonna guess like 9. Good shit. Are you, is it you and Paul playing it? I forget if Jay said, Guy or Paul.
Yeah! It's another strange book.
I try to be nicer and smile more. I try to hide from everyone, but it doesn't matter. I still feel like I'm being watched. When some kids laugh at me or take my things or hurt me, there's always more kids watching. They see what happens and they do nothing. No one helps me. No one calls the teachers. They just stare. I know the mean kids hurt me because they don't like me, but if everyone else watches and does nothing, does that mean they hate me too? Yeah, it means they do. Like this many. Oh, dude, that's a lot. That's like 6. Now I can smell it through the screen. Oh, wait, what? Oh, I have an undefeated streak in my tidy whities. You would wear tidy whities. I imagine you wearing tidy whities now.
I'll take this.
When did you change your color? When I see red, it just looks like the same person typing. Then I go downstairs. I freeze that bitch. So next up is Monster Hunter, eh? Stay there. Don't move. Don't move. Like Jackie Chan. Don't move. On. Yep. Nice. I'm a little excited. I'm a little annoyed because I was I was enjoying your pure Final Fantasy run, but you know, it's just me being a selfish prick. Welcome to hell, motherfucker! Wait, can I freeze you too? Oh, I can? Can I use in conjunction? The rules have changed. Alright, where was those batteries at? They're over here. I don't know what weapon I'm using. I don't know what weapon I'm using yet. Maybe Sword and Shield. Well, I only ever played World, and with that one, I fell in love with the Insect Glaive. I don't know if the Insect Glaive is in that one. I had a lot of fun with it. Nice. 20 off. Nice.
I love you.
Flying whore. I believe it was introduced before, so it's in it. I'm not a fan though. That's fair. Anything done in here? I think I checked everything out. Oh, the painting room is locked, but that's fine. I got what I needed in there. No, that's the workshop. Oh yeah, I got shit in there too. That's fine. That's where I got, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, see? I feel like it wants me to go in there.
Come here.
Where are you? Can I get in there from here? I got a key. Locked with a chain.
Locked with a chain.
And go into here. Oh, I have been in here. And then I am locked through the chain. I don't know if I can unlock it.
It's locked with a chain.
Okay. Alright, alright. It was worth double checking. It's cool that all those Monster Hunters are still like, even if you're emulating it, like you can play them online. They're like fan servers and shit, I'm guessing. What's your favorite one so far? Is it World? I just want Cyber to come in. What's your favorite one? I love that voice. Yeah, big active fan servers. You can always find people to play with. In every entry, probably, huh? What's the one that was on PSP? It was like Strikers or something like that. Starts with an S, SH. Sparking. I don't know, but I played a little bit of that one.
How did you get up there?
Because it was like the beta.
Don't pretend like you care!
If it's a World and Freedom Unite,
what you
hard to
did
pick
to
between the two. Which one's Freedom Unite?
You're
Is
just
that the one I'm
another
thinking about?
monster!
Aw.
Well, what are you talking about?
Oh,
No! Emily, run! Run!
Run, bitch, run!
Hide in the gym! Go to the roof, you hear me? Quick, I'll meet you there!
Throw
4 on PSP. Freedom Unite is one of them. Okay.
Why did she call me a monster?
I feel like there was one where there's like a series. There's like a 1 and a 2. Like Strikers 1, Striker 2, or some shit like that. I'm trying to remember.
Find her.
Honestly, I think I'm almost done with this.
So mean to me. I never did anything to her.
She's being a
What are you
bitch.
talking about? I've always been nice to her.
And do fucking shit to you,
Always
Freedom 1 and
wanted
Freedom
to
2.
hang out with
Maybe
her.
that's what I'm thinking about. Hold on. PSP. Probably think about Freedom. 3rd gen. Portable, Freedom Unite. I'm tripping. I might be thinking about. Oh, you know what? I might be thinking about like a Dynasty Warriors on PSP. Let me see. Maybe. Actually, maybe. Let me see. Strike Force, Dynasty Warriors Strike Force. That's what I'm thinking about. Way off. Different franchise. Different company. 3DS Master. They're basically remakes on Monster Hunter 1 from PS2. Oh, are they really? I didn't realize that. I hope everyone hears this wholesome message and knows through the power of text to speech, even the blind are appreciated. Nice.
But I have my own friends. I know they started calling her things. But it was just playing. What did she expect?
All right. It's active, you babies. Please, no slurs.
Was I supposed to babysit her every day? I'm not a bad person.
And it's not TTS. You actually have to redeem it.
Okay. Emily's waiting for me on the roof. It's locked.
Yes, master. Give me free. How's Barkley?
It's locked from the other side.
Of course it is. Of course it is. Nothing's ever straightforward in these. Survival of the fittest. On it. Ooh.
The gym is all twisted too. I should be used to this by now.
Go down to the gym's basement. Oh, I'm not going out of any basement in this game. I'm gonna fall, aren't I? Oh, I hear one of them teleporters. Where they at? Dope. Where they at? Dope. Where they at? Dope. Where they at? Dope. Ah!
After 10,000 years, I am free.
Nice. Love it. That's a good one. It's like, ah, after 3 weeks, I'm free. Can I kill you guys from here? Who's crying and why? I don't like it. So, god damn it. Oh shit! The invisible ones, I forgot about you. You guys respawn, or are I actually dying?
I bet I can use that tower over there to get to the roof.
Yeah, no shit. To the basement. Let me look around first. Isolation cell. Bo! What up, boy? How you doing, man? Playing a cutesy creepy game. I'm kind of into it. I like it. Oh shit! Maybe you can get some notes from this for what you're working on. Where'd it go? Ah! Yo, Cyberlike, how's it going? Bo! Dude, you know what it's like? When Bo shows up, it's like when you're watching a sitcom, and then the audience goes, "Ooh," you know? That's you and Cyber. Nice, this looks cool. I love the art style. I do too. Good for you. Oh, good, you? Oh, I read that wrong. That's funny. Like Norm from Cheers? Yeah! Or like Uncle Jesse. Is it the same one respawning, or am I killing multiples? I can't tell. Or like, from Family Matters, Stefan. When Stefan shows up. T. Here? It's cheating. Doing good bro stuff, can't complain. There's always room for complaining. Oh, I wonder if I can freeze them bitches. Let me try that later. Locked. Oh, it's not. Dude, that looks like my TV. Kinda. It just instead of TV electronics, it says, Toshiba? Is that brand? I think one of the Japanese tea ones. I think it's Toshiba. I don't like it. Get rid of it. Also, what? Oh, nice. Just like, what's the fucking point of this room? Are you timing me? That's actually kind of nice. A challenge. Ah. Not really. It's still the world's easiest minigame. Fuck! Fuck! I gotta go to the isolation cell, and that's where I get the key to probably go to the basement. And then from the basement, I go up the fucking ladder. What is that? What is that? What is it? What the hell even is that?
Wasn't such a good idea.
Yeah, well, that ship left. Ship sailed. TV's fixed. Not watching. Oh boy. Oh geez, Rick. The batteries in here? Batteries in the other room. Alright. I'm a stealth kill when I use. I guess I'm a stealth kill use. Don't turn around, 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 don't turn around. Alright, sick. And it's in there? It's in there. How are things, Bo? You still working on that project? You don't have to go into detail. You don't want to. But I'm excited and intrigued. And hard. That's a given. Oh shit, there's a lot of these guys. It's too much. Isolation cell. I definitely need to go in there. See more batteries. That is a concern. I can freeze these motherfuckers. You don't see me. All right. Yep, I'm gonna get some free time. Hell yeah, dude. Are you considering streaming that or no? Is this like your baby that you just wanna reveal to the world once it's ready?
I might need this. Oh, that must mean something.
What does that say? We will break you. We are coming for you. Nice. You spelled that wrong though.
Emily? Oh, ugh, wait. wait. No. I made that joke before I finished reading. Now I'm not proficient enough to stream it, in my opinion. All right, yeah, you're just learning on the way. Respect, dude. And I think I might have mentioned it, but I actually have a degree in game art and game design. So if you ever want like some feedback or anything, you can let me know. Sweet. I was just about to say that. Too bad you don't have a degree in shutting the fuck up. Nice. You have a...
It's another strange.
I don't want to be too mean. I'm trying to think of more than just the fat jokes. So easy. And they get stale after a while. I just want to just play games if you want some advice. Oh yeah, he also makes them. How's that going? Any good updates on yours? You said it's looking like a game now, I believe is what you said last time. I asked about it. A potato chip never gets stills. Potato chips never get stale. Well, they don't have a chance to because you eat them. Because he's fat? Yeah. I ate them too fast? Yeah, okay. Okay, cool. Basement key? It's one of the 3 keys needed to... Oh my... More keys to get? Oh, is there a room there I never even got to? Ah! Alright, time to sneak my way back just to check that door, dude. I'm not even sure... Can I get in that red door at the end over there? I might be able to, and I might have just missed it. Alright, going back. It's so easy. It's so easy. You say, well, at least I have a degree, not like you no having a degree. That's why you smell like BO, because degree is also a deodorant. I can't tell if that was rapping or you're explaining your joke, but I like it. Retards say what? Damn it! You got me. Actually, I have a college degree though. Yeah, I do too. My bachelor's is literally on the wall next to me. I will fight you if I have to. Okay, cool. They didn't see me. All right. Please don't be locked. I'm gonna be a little upset if it's locked. It's locked, isn't it? Yes! Okay. What's in here? A key? Mira, aquí. Batteries. Do I need batteries? Here's the thing. I could kill one and then use these batteries, and then I don't have to worry about them anymore. Oh shit, there's something over here too. Ooh! The fuck? It's like when Harry speaks parcel tongue. Looks like a piece of the. Yeah. Have I been missing those? I've been trying to like find them.
Another strange book.
Oh, it itches. Oh, this one, gym class. I'm so scared. Every day is worse than the one before. I lied to my mom and told her I was sick because I don't want to go to school anymore. Today we have gym class and I hate it the most. Kids push me, laugh at me, and throw me to the floor. Last time in gym, one of them kicked me. You know, these kids are fucking assholes. All the other kids saw it, but no one did anything. They just called me a crybaby. I told the teacher, but he told me to keep playing. I tried not to cry. I really did, but I felt like I couldn't breathe. Excuse me. I really did, but it felt like I couldn't breathe. Everyone was staring at me. They kept laughing. Mom says she believes me and tells me to stay in bed today. Even though I'm not as scared, I keep crying. Maybe everyone's right. Maybe I am pathetic. Yeah, so sounds about right. It itches so much. I keep scratching like crazy. The nurse told me not to, but she doesn't know how bad I need it. Ah! That's one thing I'm glad is gone. Those dumb good-for-nothing nurses. I could see how they looked at me, that expression of disdain. They thought I was disgusting. Well, yeah, my skin is disgusting. I know. Burning red and falling into pieces. It's not a pretty postcard. I've never heard that before. It's not a pretty postcard. And it itches so much. Ah, where are the damn painkillers? It gets worse and worse. When it started bleeding, I left the room screaming at those lazy nurses. I bet they weren't there. They weren't anywhere. But they weren't there, not bet. I run through the corridors looking for some drugs to help me ease the pain, but the whole place was freaking deserted. If I knew back then I was lurking on these dark rooms, I wouldn't have been that loud. I guess that it heard me screaming. That the monstrous thing. It jumped out of nowhere, howling like a maniac. Howling? Oh, it's a kid writing this. They can't spell. Their grammar sucks. It's not just me. Okay. I mean, it's a little bit of me. Howling like a maniac, trying to rip my head off. I don't know what the hell that was, but it didn't look human. Its skin was like mine, red, cracked, disgusting. But face! What's wrong with her face? Don't you have a PhD? PhD's nuts. Nice. I was to be like, I have a PhD in pussy. Like, who said that? But no, here, I'll show you. Not that any of you care, really, but anyway. I had my last name. But yeah, it is a, print. My bachelor's of science. Barely read it. Game art and design. You know, Maya, Photoshop, Blender, After Effects, color theory, game theory, all that jazz. I don't know what the hell it was, but it didn't look human. Its skin was like mine. Yeah. But the face upside down, huge mouth and sharp teeth, nightmarish. I would have died right there in the spot if it wasn't for Cooper, my Labrador. I don't know how he found me, but he appeared at the last second to distract the monster so I could escape. Now I'm here, trapped in this room. Cooper on my lap. Oh, trying to stay quiet as possible, but it's just so bad. I have to scratch it quietly. My skin. It was like the monsters. Am I going to turn into that? Is that why they left us in this hospital? I thought I had psoriasis, but maybe it's something else entirely. Something much, much, much worse. I can't believe I'm going to die in this stupid hospital. At least Cooper is with me. He's a good dog. He doesn't think I'm disgusting, right, Cooper? I don't know what's going on with his eyes. They look bright and green. But oh, I'm gonna have to fucking fight Cooper. I'm gonna have to kill Cooper. But they look bright and green, but there's no doubt it's my old Coopy. He died when I was 7, but he's come back for me. Oh. Hey, that was a nice little... I like that. You like those, like, was it 2-sentence horror? That was like 2-page horror, but you know what I mean? That was good. That last line, that got me. Nice little twist. But yeah, I'm gonna have to kill Coop. Sorry in advance, Coop. Coopy. Please don't. I was gonna say, oh, it's the monitor in the other room. I know what it is. But like, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sneak up and then I'm gonna kill this guy. That one. You. Honestly, I don't think I can kill all these guys at once. I'm gonna move the 3, stealth the 1, get back with the batteries. Then it's stoner bashing time. Dude, I have Road Warrior on right now. I haven't seen this movie in like 3 years. I wish, I mean, I have a fancy education like Joey, but I'm well educated in love. No! No! Having his Zane escaped? Hey, love is love. If having your anus gaped is wrong, I don't want to be right. Actually, you know what? I should just kill these guys one at a time. Bring it on, puta! Totally, someone was supposed to text me deets in terms of where to stay, but he done flaked. Oh, I thought you were gonna text me. Oh yeah, I was though. Here, I'll just message you. Are you still on, message you on Discord. Here. Don't say this on stream, please. Boom. Alright, there you go. Shit. This is like that Ghostbusters game, kinda. Oh, dude, I should stream that. That game kinda slaps. You have my phone number, dick. Yeah, but I also have Discord right here, bitch. Alright, I'm gonna go back to those batteries.
Good. Finders keepers.
Yep, that really helped. I like that. That worked. So anything else down here? Okay, no, I think I got... Okay, yeah. Everything except to the basement. Basement lockers. It did guide me over there. I'm gonna actually fight this guy, and then I'm gonna go look over there. Look over down. Oh! He's gonna let out a big There's probably another key over here. Is that keys what, 2 and 3? I'm guessing 1 I actually be over here because it did steer me this way first. Inventory. Oh, I only have 1 key. I thought I had 2 keys. Whack. Real? Sorry. My friend said the Mario movie was straight gas. Like, so that means he likes it, right? Where's my phone? Oh, it's right here.
What's the 3 tomorrow? Why are people making plans for me? What the fuck? All right. Oh. I like that. There is a key in here. Okay. Jam-packed with references and throwbacks. It's like I said in the meeting, very much like eating a whole cake by yourself. The movie was paper-thin plot, but damn, it was full of fun stuff. He gets it. Hell yeah. I blew off my friends who invited me to see Project Hail Mary. Might do a double feature soon. LOL. Did you finish War Machine? Oh, I did actually. It wasn't bad. It does have a very slow start, and it just feels like a oh shit. It feels like a Sci-Fi Channel movie, but like in the best way. You know what I mean? And then when the action hit, it actually got like really hyped. Like when it sped up. Like the last third of the movie is like actually cool shit.
No. Just great.
It was bro action. It really was. I just came back from the movie. Oh, Mario, did you like it? My coworker loved it apparently. I want to check it out. I like Mario. Am I done in here? We're done. Say we're done. Oh wait, 2 basement. There is a path here? Oh, wrong one. Oh, nice. I didn't even see this here. I think I checked the map. I would have missed this. But yeah, dude, my favorite part is, yeah, like I said, the last third. Once they get in like that Humvee thing, it's just like gold. Also, I just like watching that thing just like increasingly fuck them up.
Nice.
Like it starts off just like blasting through it, and then they get like kind of like, I don't know. It's like Fallout, like when people get you know, when you have bloody mess, it's like that.
I'll take this.
I did. It was really good. The weird Lumistar that is hella depressing appears in the end. Nice, dude. That was my favorite character in the first movie. It was like the only escape is death, and I was like, they get it. That's me. I really dig this. When Alan Richardson had the Metal Gear pinned, oh yeah, and he had the idea to beat it. It was like that's the thing he was talking about with his brother when he was fixing the Jeep. Oh yeah, you're right. The vent and all that. I mean, here's the thing. That movie is quite possibly one of the most predictable movies I've ever seen. And cliche, but I like it, you know? It's fun. It's silly. It knows it's silly. Like, I wasn't really vibing with it at first, but like once the Metal Gear showed up, I was like, yeah. Let's go. Let's do it. I'm in. Gotta make it to the finish line. Yeah, well, the thing was, I keep saying that. The thing is, stop saying that. It was just late. I streamed till 1 a.m. that day, and then I wanted to watch this damn near 2-hour movie. So I had to go to bed like 3, because I had to be up for, like, at the office at like 7, you know?
I be making bad choices. Where you going? So I still only have one key. I don't know what to do. Do I need batteries? I do not need batteries. I'm glad you liked Mario. And my coworker did. I really want to see it. Fox McCloud was peak. Bro, that movie's good too. I know. I just wanted to be lazy and play some games.
It's locked.
Damn it. How do I... Now what? Can I go upstairs? I think now that I don't think I've checked up here. Let me see. Didn't. There's probably some shit over here. Like Cooper, who I'm probably have to kill. Yeah, boy, I think you'd like this game. Oh, cool, got it. Like, this game's linear as shit for a horror game, but I fucks with it. It's Baby's first Silent Hill. Actually, Silent Hill should be Baby's first Silent Hill, but you know what I mean. What? Oh, okay. That should have done it. Just pick it up.
I might need this.
I probably will. But if only I could put batteries in my backpack instead of having to use them on the spot, you know? I think what I liked most about the Mario movie is how even the simplest people and small children can enjoy it. I can't tell if you're being sarcastic or not. That's funny. Did you like the Mario movie? I know Jay probably didn't see it, and if he did, he didn't like it. But did you like it? I hated it. Okay, okay. Hated it. Wait, I don't need those. Wait, can I climb that? Oh, okay. Honestly, I think I need to go back to that one room and see if I can find that key that fell. I think I could have gone another path. Maybe. Have I been in here? I've not been in here. Uh-oh. TVs are gonna do something. What? What? What are we doing? What is this? No, bitch. Oh my god. I wish Mario was actually Chris Pratt in Mario skin suit instead of anything even slightly resembling Mario. Finally, my dreams are coming true. I mean, he kind of did a bit of that Brooklyn accent, like they did in like the, what, like 80s cartoon. That's what he reminded me of. Because once again, if I had to listen to for fucking an hour and a half, I'd probably beat my head into a wall.
Okay, I'm never coming back to this place again.
Amen, sister. Can I fall? Drop down here. Whee! Yeah, I think I have to go back in here.
Rat.
I gotta go down here, and then can I go left? Yeah, I might have. Yeah, I didn't go the right way, I don't think, unless this is where I was before. No. Was I here? I was. How the fuck? I guess I have to go to the basement, but I can't. I have one key. I can't get to the basement without that key. It says to basement. Let me try again. I have to be missing something. Oh, wrong button. You sent me, Chris Pratt. Yeah, like I wonder if... Oh. Or maybe the gas can come out like out here, but I don't think that's how that works. How do I get to you? Alright. I guess I have to... find another way. Change your minds. Oh, wait. Oh, wait. Was I not here? Gas mask, do not step out of... do not step out of active workings. Always go in pairs. Well, I got my pair of balls with me, so I'm good. Got it. To the basement we go. Go down to the gym's basement. Oh. Ooh, a small key labeled with number 1. A small 3.
No, no, no. I know that noise. It's that fire monster again.
Okay, I'll be back. Can I hop over this? I have to actually backtrack through all the steam and shit. Damn it. Alright. You're gonna have to send it through my phone number. Discord is acting fucking dumb and acting like my account doesn't exist and it's pissing me off. Okay. Tell your phone to quit sucking. Aw, damn it, I do have to go this way. The door. Fuck.
This will come in handy.
That fire monster was kind of easy. Read on.
Well, as long as there's other sinks for him to run into. Even with that Wawa.
It's locked from the other side.
Even with that Wawa. Oh.
Ouch!
Breaks her neck.
That was... Ouch. Okay, I guess there's no going back now.
Also, I'm a little sad. So, I finally got a cassette head cleaner for my little fucking Girls Gone Wild camera that work let me keep. This thing's cool. But, dude, it started eating my fucking tape out of nowhere. So I'm just like, well, there's that. I don't know if I need to, like, fix the gears? Something? I don't know. Huh. Looking forward to that. Oh, boom. Full health. All right, cool. If it doesn't work, I could set it up with a tapeless
There's no
thing.
other way. I have to do this.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Drink that Wawa, bitch! Drink that Wawa, bitch! Can I freeze you? Whatever. Uh-oh. 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 Oh, shit, dude. Eat that Wawa, motherfucker!
Hey! That did something!
Yeah, it did. It didn't work. Oh shit. No! Ah! Please, 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 please! Oh, wrong one. Why don't you just die already? Fuck! Bitch. Oh shit. Shit! Please? No! What do I, motherfucker?
Discord is broke. Joey, can you mail your nudes to my address? Yeah, I got you, man. I got you. When I go make your character in 2K26, I'm gonna see if they let me put you at Hornswoggle Heights. That would actually be pretty funny, dude.
Nice.
No! Stay down. Okay. Need more inhalers. My asthma.
Hold
My
on, Emily.
asthma's
I'm
acting
coming.
up.
Almost there. Just a bit farther.
What a thrill. The silence and darkness through the night. What a thrill.
Sweet. Finders keepers.
The roof, baby. Oh shit.
You're so focused on you. You don't even pay attention to me.
I'll save you.
This will come in handy.
Hey.
It's okay. You can go.
The fuck out. Okay, it says I can make characters 4 or 5 in this game. Awesome.
It's another strange book.
Make sure I don't miss a thing. Because I don't want to miss a thing. Hey, ugly. What's up, dog?
But this is what you wanted.
Not her. She was mean to me like the others.
But I...
Emily, I found you. Are you okay? Oh, you're not hurt, are you? Leave me.
Well, why are you saying this?
You left me. I was new at school. Everyone was picking on me. And you.
You.
My cousin.
You're just a fucking quitter.
And you turned your back on me.
That's not true. You're worse than them.
What
You
did I
made me
do?
think we were friends. Let's go home. And we can home? Look around, Sally.
This is my home now.
Does it look like home to you? We're trapped here. There's nothing we can do. It won't let us. It just won't.
I I wish these were actual
no.
cinematics.
You were supposed to help her.
What? Why me? I've tried. I've tried so hard.
I
No
got
one's
so
tried to
far.
help
It will be okay. Perhaps we can still do something. I know where they'll take her. Down to the mine, so we can't reach her. I can't go there. But I can help you get in. There's still a chance for you to make things right, Sally.
And then what? She's right. The town is doomed. We're doomed.
Come, Sally. You need to see something. Come, Sally. This is important.
Come, my lady. Come, my lady. You're my butterfly. Sugar.
What is
Make
that?
you like shake. I make you go crazy.
Is that
Bethelwood?
Bethelwood?
Okay, I can ask. Can I ask? Is there a way to
But if
see what
that's-
email
Then where am I?
my Discord is using?
What is this place?
Emily was right. This isn't your home.
Can you log in with your phone number?
It's somewhere else entirely. But there's still hope. The cable car will take you away from this place for good.
Sing Scatman.
But you
Sing
just have to
Scatman.
find
I'm
your
a
cousin first.
Scatman.
I don't understand. How do you know all this? Do you know Emily? What exactly are you?
I'm afraid. I've been helping way before you arrived.
Sorry. I'm not paying any attention to this.
Now
Shut
I
up.
need your help to bring her back home.
Give me
You
a guy's
have to rescue
POV. I've
Emily
tried,
from
but
the
nothing's
mine.
shown.
I'll take care of the rest.
That's for you, Cash Cow. Thank you. No problem. Thank you.
I'll do it.
Meet me at the
Oh shit.
Take your time and be prepared. You won't be able to come back
Yeah, I'll
from the
check in a
mine
minute.
until you find Emily. Is that clear?
Yes.
Good. I'll be waiting.
All right, cool story, bro. No, I do not see that, unfortunately. I can report you though. Isn't there like a forgot my email or something, or forgot my login?
Man.
What do you do, Cash Cow?
So he knew Emily.
Have you left me yet? Are you still here?
Is he really trying to help us? But if he is,
Thank you.
why does he keep hiding?
This is a good one.
Scabada bada badu believable I dabble a dabble a dabble a bob bella bob ella bob ella babella velo do believe I am the scatman ski by dibby dibby yoda dub dub yoda dub dub ski by dibby dibby yoda dub dub yoda dub dub I'm the scatman ski by dibby dibby yoda dub dub yoda dub dub ski by dibby dibby yoda dub dub yoda dub dub bada bada bobby bop bop bada boppy bop bop bada boppy be bop bop bada boppy bop bop bada 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 bobby bop bop bada boppy bop bop bada boppy be bop bop.
That's pretty good, dude. Pretty good. Wait, what's over here though? Hold on. This one. Thanks, Cyber. I keep saying my account doesn't exist, which is dumb because my Xbox is connected to it, but even that is saying what email? I don't know, buddy. Maybe you have to call them? How do I get there? Open. Open sesame. Oh, I see. Boom. Nice. Nice.
Nice. It's another strange.
Yeah, it sucks you can't log in. We used to be friends. I think she used to love me. We used to play together, but now she's mean like everyone else. Is all my fault? Maybe I'm just boring and stupid. A crybaby. A bitch. Maybe that's why I'm here, why the monsters are trying to eat me. I try not to think about it, about the mean kids and Sally, but every time I try to not think about something, I find it written down in these weird books. I asked a nice old man for help. He's nice to me when he's around. I feel like I'm back home. He told me to wait and stay hidden as best I can. He told me that I'm not the one who deserves to be here. What is all this? And how did I end up here? Yesterday my life was as crappy as always, but at least they weren't monsters running around town trying to eat me alive. Now I'm trapped in this hellish bizarre nightmare. There's ash everywhere and the moon is gone. Yesterday there was a full moon and now there's no trace of it. There was a hole there and now it's gone. But when did it happen? Was I sent forward in time? Am I in a different reality? Did everyone turn into a monster? Am I in a coma and this is all a dream? What is all this? I can't remember anything. I want to get out, but how am I supposed to reverse all this if I can't tell what triggered this madness in the first place? I don't know what happened. I don't know what to assume. I know that there's no way out for sure. That's for sure. The cars are not working. The phones are dead and I can't leave by foot. No matter how much I run, when I turn back, I'm never more than a mile away from town. I think I'm in a cage. That's it. This is a freaking cage. Something has trapped me here to abuse the sun with my pain. Fuck, I'm tired. It wants me to suffer and it won't stop until I'm dead or worse. I can still try the cable car. I like how sometimes cable car is one word and sometimes it's two words. I have a fragment of a ticket in my pocket.
One problem though, you got no witnesses. Who are your fucking witnesses?
Roger? Smiley? You think my troops are
You
gonna
think
help you?
my troops are going to help you?
It's not what you know, it's what you can prove. Good movie. I can still try the cable car. I have a fragment of a ticket in my pocket. I don't remember where I got it. If someone left it there for me, maybe it's a hint. Maybe I managed to reach the cable car without being caught by those monsters. Maybe I'll be able to break free. Maybe I still have a chance. Yeah, maybe. Fuck. Did my character just say fuck? It sounded like. Picked up the gear, right? Hey, yay. Alright, let me stop you. Got one problem. Got no witnesses. Who you fucking witnesses? Roger? Smiley? I don't think it's how fences work, but cool. Let's go! Good. Good. All right, now I'm going to the main building. Really? All right, I'm just gonna see if I can just force this. Oh, nope. Oh shit. Ah! Ah! Come back here. Don't Naruto run away. That hurt. Oh, wait. Wait. I'm trying to fight just you, not everyone else. Yeah, cunt. Got it. I like the Scream music that they have. Reminds me of Scream. When Ghostface chases you. And then they stabs you, and then the next scene they play Big Red Hand. Ooh, piece of candy. Oh, there's more shit. There's an inhaler. Nice.
Everybody knows you never go full retard. What do you mean? Check it out. Dustin Hoffman. Rain Man. Look retarded. Act retarded. Not retarded.
Not retarded.
Counted toothpicks. Cheated cars. Autistic. Show.
Autistic.
Not retarded.
Show. Not
You know
retarded.
Tom Hanks. Forrest Gump. Slow.
Pants on the
Yes.
president.
Retarded. Maybe. Braces on his legs. But he charmed the pants off Nixon and he won a ping pong competition. That ain't retarded. He was a goddamn war hero. You know any retarded war heroes? You went full retard, man. Never go full retard. You don't.
That's awesome, dude. That was a good one. What was it? Was it Sean Penn? I Am Sam? Went full retarded? way home empty-handed or something like that. Lost the Grammy to something. I forgot what he says. Oh yeah, I need that inhaler. Well, I need to use my inhaler and I'll pick that one up.
Finders keepers.
Went back to the main fucking building for her. Just broke out. Oh, I have to go via the fire plug. The fire plug. That's where I gotta go. Or can I go through the door? Okay. I feel like I fucked up. I feel like I missed something maybe. Oh my
You
fucking
don't buy
god.
that? Ask Sean Penn. 2001. I am Sam. Remember? Went full retard. Went home empty-handed.
Congrats on finally getting it. That ain't retarded. What kind of key do I need for that? He's still locked. That's locked from the other side. Yeah, that's fine. But there were one some that, oh, can I go to this room? I'm gonna waste my time. Also, please don't come to life. Be a little upset if you did. Finally got this fucking bitch of an app can kiss my fucking ass. Hey, you're the one that forgot the email address, not the app. Oh yeah, I need to put a new movie on. Please, 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 please be unlocked. Oh, pretty please. It's chained. All right.
It's locked with a chain.
Dang, you hit it with the all caps too. That's how I know you're mad. What can I put on? I can put Scooby-Doo on from 2002. Here's Road Warrior. Oh, I know what to put on. Put the original King Kong on. Wait, what time? Okay. I was like, what temperature is my PC? I read it wrong. I thought it was in the 80s. It's in the 50s. Put on Scooby-Doo movie where they travel to the island. I want to see that one right now. I actually do have Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. That's a good one. Oh, it's about the live action one. Yeah, that's just Scooby-Doo. That's the one I was referring to originally. They do go to an island in that one, the resort. You got Balls of Fury or Fanboys? I don't actually. I kind of don't like Balls of Fury, but Fanboys is fun. I've only seen it like once, but I remember liking it enough. Yeah. Yeah, put on King Kong. The 50s one.
Are you ready, Sally?
I think I am.
Or
But
it's earlier than that, isn't it?
why don't you come with me?
Balls of Fury is a classic.
I wish I could.
I'm glad you like
but
it.
I can't. I'm not as strong as I used to be. I need to rest. When you find Emily, I'll need all the strength I have.
It sounds like we have Steve Blum at home.
What's wrong? Are you sick?
You could say that. Okay, now I'm going to open the door to the mine for you. When you find Emily, I'll open another door so you can come back. Once you both resurface, run to the cable car. It's the only way to escape this wretched place. Now, pay attention. This is extremely important. You must give your ticket to Emily. Otherwise, the cable car won't run. Do you understand?
I think so.
You got the short Jamiroquai hat.
When you're ready, open that door. And Sally,
Yeah?
take care. You're doing so well.
Thanks.
Futures made of virtual insanity. Always. Scene 2 or something. Scene 2? No. Something about no sound. Because we all live underground. Oh! I like the song Canned Heat better. That's a good one too. I like, I think it's called Going Deeper. Like, I'm going deeper underground. There's too much panic in this town. Or, oh, what's the other one? Feels just like it should.
Keepers.
Ow. I feel like there's an item. Let me just do my rounds. Make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Any of those little like rubies or whatever. Red glowy stones. Oh, I forgot this is the colorized version. Okay, let's go. I am upset about the camera though. Right now. Did you see Spider-Man Noir is going to be offered in prism color or black and white? Why does you have to say prism color? Yeah, color or black and white as a way to watch the show. Yeah, I did hear about that. Clearly, the show has to be watched in black and white. I'm not watching this shit in color. What doesn't matter with those people? Is it called prism color? What is it? Just not just in color? It doesn't even look like it was shot for black and white. Prism color. Is that right? Film? Prism color film? I don't know. Prisma? I have a crazy idea. Not watching it at all. It's shot in RGB. Nobody asked you. Nice. I think when it keeps trying to autocorrect me to Prisma color, which is color pencils. I think it's just like a joke kind of thing, like Technicolor, you know? It's just in color. Sorry, I'm not trying to be too pedantic on you, but I farted. I don't know if you heard that, but also I'm gonna watch it in black and white. Actually, I'm gonna bring you over here. Come over here. Welcome to hell, motherfucker! Actually, it's just you now, so let me... Hold on. Turn this shit off. Can I turn that off? Yes. Off. Jesus. You just actually fucked me there. Yeah, maybe I do need aim assist. Hey Joey and your boy, watch commercials, this guy says movies. It's called True Hue Color. It's just color, dog. They're just trying to give it that old aesthetic, you know? Like when things were like Technicolor. What are you doing, cat? Special K was a street legend. What's Special K? What is this? Oh, nice, nice. That's pretty good. Oh, she's playing with a toy. But if you remember, Special K wasn't retarded. This is true. But that does look like an awful lot like me when I watch Marvel. I go with my cereal.
It's okay, Sally. Just don't look down.
That's my God-given right. Okay.
I'll take this.
What did I even pick up? What was that? Paying attention. Wait, what was the point of doing this?
Retarded?
It's funny, I do kind of have like a retarded laugh anyway.
It's locked.
What the fuck? What was the point of all of that? Did I drop down here too soon? Oh. Oh, okay. God damn it. I didn't see that. I thought I was done with the light. You should turn that Redeem's voice up if you speak. I can't really hear what it says. Okay, I don't think I was supposed to go there yet. This way. The same thing happens to my penis when I look at Sydney Sweeney. Goes. kind of want to give up. I don't want to fucking stealth my way through anymore. I like having combat. That's why I like Resident Evil so much, because I get to shoot mutants and monsters. I can't kill them anymore, you bitch. Alright, boo, I'm out. Alright, man, thanks for hanging out. I love you. You have a great night. Oh, I can still freeze them. Maybe that have to do. No, you don't. If you love me, you would have fucking played Outlast. Yeah, this is true. Or I can go, no, you don't. No, are you guys playing Sunday? It is better if I have a time, you know? If not, I can sleep through it. I'll go eat. It's easier. I'm waiting for it. Are you doing? It's easier. Is that what you're doing? Easter. Oh. Good night. How you get a degree when you can't read? Slowly. Let's see. What? Wait, where am I? There I am. That's pretty good. All right, let's go. It did look like easier. I'm sorry. Is there another one? Yeah, I need my flashlight. I can see a little flashlight do. Oh, that's from the background. Never mind. And he's back. That's okay. I'll just keep freezing him. And he goes, I don't freeze. Oh, there's two of them. See, I don't know if he sees this moving, he'll see me. Let go. Go, 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 go. I did it! Survive Junior. Shame. Anything else over here though? Gotta give it a good look-see. Alright. Hi. Oh, crouch, idiot. Actually, let me back for that inhaler. I can make fun of it. I used to be asthmatic. No, that's fine. Damn. God, no! Am I walking? They're doing the Anya Gears of War thing where they force you to walk, and I fucking hate it.
There she is. I'm almost there.
Emily, hang on! I'm coming!
Got asthma, just breathe, dummy, problem solved.
Emily.
Hard to breathe when your airways shut.
We're sad.
Just open your
We're so
airways.
friends.
Oh yeah, I keep trying to turn my flashlight on.
Emily. Are you really suffering that
Air's
much?
free, dumbass. Okay, yeah,
Is that
that's
the
pretty
reason
good.
you ended up here?
I like that one. Keep going. I'm liking this. I feel like it's gonna try and suck me in. Problem is, your boy might not be joking. Your boy, there are times where I genuinely can't tell if you're joking or fucking with me or you're serious. I kind of love it, man. You're like the wild card. You keep us on our toes. Or you ask me questions after the answer and irritate me.
This will come in handy.
What did I do? What did I do? Oh, okay, move that down. Oh, I'm definitely gonna need this because I got me my fucking flashlight. Give me my flashlight back, bitch. Got a nut allergy, so do I. Got a nut allergy, so do I not. Like, I bloat and my throat closes, but like, I don't eat nuts because I'm not gay. Nice. Oh shit! I didn't see her. Dude, these little dolls are kind of spoopy. So how do I get in there? Hey, how do I get in there?
Let me help.
No thank you. I don't need your help. Oh, I gotta drop down, I think? But where? Hang on. Oh, I see what I have to do.
Come here.
I don't want to. Do you really have a nut allergy? And that's why I only suck on the nuts and lick all the flavor. I don't eat them. Ooh la la.
Trust me.
Oh, there's a literal ladder right here. Then I guess I have to like Kobe and I throw this in there, or what do I do?
Are you there? Don't hide.
Oh, that didn't work. So if someone has asthma, if you cover your fist in air, will it cause extra damage? You equip air. That's funny. It's like they're not allergic to. Oh, nice. I didn't even see that button. Not allergic to air.
Love you.
It is funny.
Yes.
Turn around, bitch. Turn around, bitch. Don't look at me. You don't need to see this.
I never made fun of Emily, but I didn't do anything to stop it. I looked for her every day after she disappeared.
I'm still laughing at the extra damage thing.
Before that, I need to find her. Tell her I'm sorry.
Oh, this is getting spent faster too. It's like I'm running out. Oh shit. That's not nice. I missed my flashlight.
Nothing.
What does this do? Okay.
Nothing.
Really?
Nothing.
Alright. Oh, alright. I see. Another one. Actually, I think this might... No. Wait, can I... Oh, okay, once the connection's made, can I rotate you now? No? Oh, some of these are just stuck. Okay, I didn't realize that. Ooh, wait a minute. Here, no, wait a minute. Also, these, oh, I can rotate. Hold on, wait, these aren't doing it anymore. Oh. Okay. I do this and then no, I can't do that. I gotta do this and then this and wait a minute, might be bad. I hate that I can't move all of these. Okay, and then who's the only choice I have that loops this way? Well, you're not giving off any electricity. Finally, I met my match. Oh. Simple puzzles, my only weakness. The TV, what is that?
Nothing.
Ew. Oh. Oh. Bitch. Didn't make it easy, could you? When that platform goes down, go under it. Oh, because I want to redo this. It will probably kill me. Also, I'm not even sure if I can, because I have to push a button to make it move up or down. Alright, I'll try real quick for you. It'll be fun, trust. If I get a trophy, cool. If not... Alright, I'll do it for you. Say another asthma joke. You're kind of on a streak with those. Alright, I'll crush myself for you. It's gonna kill me, clearly. No, it won't let me. Sorry. It's this invisible wall. You should have a hyper-violent child deaths like the old 16-bit game. Oh, fucking, don't tell me, don't tell me, don't tell me, don't tell me, please don't tell me. Shadow of the heart. Darkness. Heart of darkness. Heart of darkness. Yeah, that game is fucking insane. And that would be kind of cool. Or like, I actually haven't seen it, but I've heard that like Made in Abyss is like fucked up and gory. Something like that. I agree. If this was rated M,
I won't let you suffer
Lane like Dan
anymore.
DeVito once said, suicide is badass.
Almost there, Emily. Just wait for me.
Damn it. Don't look over here.
You can try.
Plays on stage, motherfucker. I don't know why you're looking over here. Damn it. I really want to know the words to this. I'm upset that I don't.
Come here.
Put the lyrics in text to speech.
Let me.
I feel like this one's gonna turn around and see me. I have to freeze the bitch. Or, god damn it, do I have a can? No.
I love you.
They don't, lion whore. Oh shit. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Oh shit. Please start.
Hey, I need that.
Fucking stop taking my shit!
Close.
I know, right?
I'll just find another way.
When you start the Steam, have the lyrics load up on a separate tab. When someone redeems it, you can read the lyrics and say you
We are
memorized
living
it.
our lives abound with so much information, come on. Let go of the remote, don't you know you're letting all the junk flood in? I try to stop the flow, double clicking on the go but it's no use. Hey, I'm being consumed, loading, 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 quickly reaching maximum capacity, warning, 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 gonna short circuit my identity. Ah, get up on your feet. Tear the walls, catch a glimpse of the hollow world snooping round will get you nowhere, you're locked up in your mind where.
Nice. What's the part where it's like, da 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 or something like that, and then she goes, the shadow world, boom 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 boom. This is actually really bad. I don't have any means
Your
of
affection, your affection. Taking pride from fear past will tell you when to make yourself a hero. Your affection, your affection. Taking pride from fear past will tell you when to make yourself a hero.
Is that the same song? No, okay. I was like, that doesn't sound like the intro. Is it even the same persona? No, it is. That's 4. Because I know the Your Affection song, mostly from Dancing All Night. That's the best song, though. It is my favorite one to play in Persona 4 Dancing All Night. Heartbreak, 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 heartbreak. Are they? Interesting fact of the night. Mississippi didn't abolish slavery until 2013. Who would have thought it? The more you know.
Come here.
Damn, Jay, you grew up in the wrong state. Wiglet? I want it just because that sounds cute. I don't know what the fuck a wiglet is, though. I'm guessing it's a piggy? With a wig? Oh, shit. Close my window.
Don't hide.
Okay. I won't hide. Ooh, boy. She's gonna see me right here, I think. Oh, right? Diglett is a Diglett type of Pokemon. Is it? No, Diglett and Dugtrio. Is it like the base version? Where am I going? Fuck. This way. Right? Yeah. I don't want to let you help, bitch. Go away. I don't need your help. I don't want your help. Fuck off. Yeah, fucking prostitute. Okay. It's the Alola version. I think it has a Hanson style wig on. Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. I thought that was just Alolan Diglett.
Please. Help me.
Hanson style. Like the Paul brothers.
I will.
It's got the Logan Paul wig.
No. Run, Emily, run!
Ah, they're doing that thing.
Run, Emily, run!
No, 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 no. Woo! Shit. I'm following Emily. Lead the way, Green. Hey, this is just like Rayman 2. Rayman 2 has a part just like this. Oh shit, I was trying to read chat. This monster is retarded. He could easily smash those girls. No, sorry, the Diglett type Pokemon, but he just looks like sperm coming out of the ground. Nice. Wiglet is a completely different species from Diglett. Oh, dang. It's because he's all big, Jay. Big things move slow.
The cable car! Quick, Emily! There's no time!
Is Wiglet when Diglett tries to act black? That's pretty
When
good.
you arrived here, Sally,
And then the actual
you
black
left a door,
one can be Niglet.
and only one can go back through it. You know the rules, Sally. No passenger can ride without a ticket.
What? No! After all we've been through, only one of us can leave?
Sally, you know why you're here. Give Emily your ticket. Make things right. Hurry up.
Wiglet's real life animal is a garden eel.
Ticket. What do I
Google
do?
Wiglet. That's right, you're a Pokemon fan. Make a decision.
If I give Emily the ticket, then I'll be trapped.
Wiglet. Oh, I know. Oh, it's kind of cute.
Emails is for babies.
Yeah. Isn't it just a snake? Eels are not snakes.
What are you doing?
I'm
I was gonna.
sorry, Emily.
Oh, give Emily a ticket? No, no.
I should have been there for you from the beginning.
Pretty sure that's how you get the good ending or something.
I left you alone. I didn't even know what you were going through
Yeah, she's spoken up, bitch.
when you went missing.
And you had to go and fucking get all depressed and shit. Hey, we gonna cry? We gonna cry?
But I won't leave you alone
Look
here.
at Emily. I'm sad.
No! Sally! You don't have to do this, please!
I wish I'd been a better cousin.
Damn it.
I love you.
Oh, damn. Oh, Jesus Christ. What? Oh, I thought they were gonna like rip her apart. Like good old Merrig. Merrig! Am I dead? Am I dying? Is that what this is? Sending the press girl back. She probably just gonna kill herself anyway, shaking my head. I know, right? Missing Sally. Oh, shit. Does this game have multiple endings? It has to. You know, also, so what I think is I didn't find all of those, you give them the fucking stone and then they give you a piece of a ticket. I'm pretty sure if I found all of them, that they would probably give me a ticket that I can leave with. Oh, that's a Guillermo del Toro for a second. Let me see, does Gylt have multiple endings? How many endings does Gylt have? 3. Good, bad, and true secret. Good ending. Sally gives her ticket to her cousin, leaving Emily to escape while Sally stays behind. Bad. Sally takes the ticket, escapes alone, leaving her cousin behind. That'd be funny. If you rescue all the imprisoned inhabitants and collect all the items, you gain a new ticket, allowing both girls to escape together. Dang, I didn't know that. I also didn't know I was like at the last area. I had a feeling, but I've been looking for those things. I'm a little annoyed. I just put up the YouTube video of all the endings and act like you're playing it. No, I'll definitely look them up right now. Good game though. I enjoy it. Like it's like a cute little like Silent Hill on Switch. I skipped this. Oh. Okay, I'm done. I did it. I liked it. I haven't seen the original King Kong in a while. Good movie. I wish I still had I wish I had the black and white one, but the colorized version's fine. Oh, is this the cast? No. These are like the testers or artists or something. So sleepy. Yeah, I'm feeling it too. I was hoping that this would finish like an hour earlier, but I'll play Grandy another day. Love the original King Kong. Every remake sucks in comparison. Yeah, honestly, dude, I prefer this one over the Peter Jackson version. Yeah, this is the best King Kong. I agree. Fist bump. No, I'm just kidding. Back to campus. What is this? Wait, what's back to campus? You gonna tell me like it told me everything else? Hopefully. Explore the campus. So is this where I can find them? Oh, it is. So what am I missing? I might actually just do this. Objects. Oh, in the area, in total. So yeah, I'm missing a lot. God damn. Peter Jackson is legitimately kind of bad. It has good moments, but it's 3 hours long, and most of that waste of time. I agree. There are cool parts. All the fucking freaky monster shit. Nice. Those are cool. Like, what's like low key, kind of like a horror movie. I'd say the second best King Kong movie is fucking Kong Skull Island, and it's not even trying to be a remake. You know. Was that the middle finger? Yeah, it was. I thought this was a family-friendly stream. Good day, sir. Take this with you. Yeah, Skull Island's great. Yeah, but it's not. Yeah, it's not even trying to do this, which I guess I appreciate. Just a cool twist on the character. Some of the visuals in King Kong was it 2003, 2004, 5? When did that shit come out? 5. It's cool, but then it kind of does that thing that I kind of hated that the early 2000s started with, like Attack of the Clones, where it just turns into like a green screen CG mess because they weren't really good at that then. But I actually like the design of Kong in that movie. Like all them cool like centipedes and little face suckers from like Half-Life. Yeah, the game's letting me actually come back and get the good ending, I think. Wander the campus to see if you could find anything left behind. That's nice of them. You see. Back to campus. Gylt, back to campus. Oh yeah, players can reach the end, then return to the school's front doors to replay the final cutscene and experience the other endings that complete the entire game again. That's fucking amazing. That's great. I'll do it off stream though. I don't want to bore you guys anymore. I just think in general, if you're remaking a movie, your remake should not be twice the length of the original. I mean, unless you use it, you know what I mean? Like, I can't imagine a case, but I wouldn't say no. You know, I could see an instance where that could be appropriate, but yeah, his movie's like mostly fluff. It didn't need to be that long. You could have easily trimmed an hour off that movie. That's a lot. There's a lot going on. And no, actually, there's not even that much going on. They just spend too much time trying to do the fucking emotional motion capture, like emoting. It's like it's more of like a tech demo than a movie. Which is funny because that's what I say about Avatar, but I like Avatar. Leave. Leave. That button. I think back button should always let me leave menus. I shouldn't have to tap select and then start. I should be able to press B from those and bail out. I couldn't get through the Way of Water. Really? Dang. Yeah, dude, it's really... Oh, shit, there's one right there. But it's really nice of the game to, like, let me revisit this bullshit rather than having to replay everything. Oh, shit, where the fuck did you come from? You didn't see me. Alright, hold on. Only because that one instance... I'm gonna turn it back on. Of course there are. Avatar is basically Pocahontas with blue space monkeys to me. It's fine. And like Avatar 1, enough to see either sequel. I think the first is 6 out of 10. It's fine. Give like a high 7, low 8. Avatar is basically Pocahontas with blue space monkeys to me. Yeah, the first one kind of is. I mean, what's the line? There's only like so many types of stories that have been told, and everything is effectively a remix of those now. It's something like that I heard. I don't know if that's true. All I know is that I am super excited for Resident Evil. Wait, what the fuck? Wait, what the fuck? What the fuck is happening? Holy shit. What the fuck did I just do? It's only 7 stories that keep getting told over and over again. Yeah, something like that. Thanks. Thanks.
That was... I don't believe this.
I don't believe it. I just don't believe it. Oh, it's Chucky. I'm gonna put Chucky on. I'm excited for Zach Krieger's zombie movie. I generally think being tied to existing properties is more of a negative for movies. But the thing is I feel like, because I love Resident Evil so much, that if somebody's actually able to do something that actually remains in spirit to the games in live action, I would like to see that. And even though, and like I said, I'm gonna give Barbarian another shot, but even though I didn't necessarily like it my first time, I can acknowledge that he's a good director, and he definitely, to me, he has a good job at building suspense, and I know this is like almost a meme to say, but he really does subvert your expectations in a good way. Ultimately, you know. And when I saw Weapons, dude, he does some really cool camera work, so I'm excited to see him kind of do some actual like visual flair. Yeah, I hear good things about the early screening of the new Resident Evil movie directed by Zach Krieger. Yeah. Sorry, man. I love Barbarian. I haven't seen Weapons yet. If you like Barbarian, you'll love Weapons. I read that the new Resident Evil movie is going to use more practical effects than anything else. Yeah. Jay and I were geeking out about that a bit earlier. But also, I like how... No, there's delay. I have to give you some credit. There's a delay, right? Between your speech to text and here. Because Jay was like, yeah, I'm excited for Zach Krieger, and after I said I was excited for Resident Evil. So it was already established. Did you see weapons, you boy?
It's another strange book.
Honestly, all those things I was missing might be down here. I seen weapons. I seen it. Actually, can I check other areas of the map or no? Like, I can only examine this area. Total. So I got two more. Okay. Dude, honestly, should have been paying more attention to that.
It's another strange.
Oh. Get lost. Sally said she would walk home with me today. I was so happy to spend time with her. She's really nice when we're alone, but when she's with her friends, she doesn't like talk to me. I saw her at the bus station waiting for me. She smiled and waved, and then I ran toward her. But then her friends called her from the other side of the street. Sally stopped smiling at me. Her friends yelled at me, called me snot, like they always do, and I told Sally they were going to the arcade. I thought she would stay, but she turned and followed them. She promised she'd
Shut
walk.
up, bitch!
I'm gonna call it night. Have a good one. Peace out, dude. I'm gonna call it soon too. I just want to check out this area. Thank you for hanging out. Next stream is gonna be more Grandy Extreme, which I'm glad you enjoy. I think you're the only one. But she turned to follow them, but she promised me she'd walk home with me. She promised. I yelled after her, but she pushed me away and told me to get lost. Damn, what a bitch. Her friends laughed at me and I started to cry again. I'm always crying. Is that how Sally really feels? Maybe I should go home. Maybe I really should get lost. Yeah, maybe you should. Maybe you should, Emily. Maybe people would like to hang out with you if you weren't crying all the time. It was all our fault. We should have seen the signs and pulled the plug, but we were blinded by greed. What makes someone as brilliant as, beg your pardon, myself, stay and work in this town as gray as Bethel would? The easy answer is, it's never about place, it's about the project. Trinity College gave Newton a chance to do his thing without prying eyes. The boring patent office in Bern gave Einstein the spark to kill Newton and go beyond. It's never only the place, of course, but the place matters too. In my case, it mattered greatly. It was bloody and glowing. It had this devilish vibe that make it look like a tainted present from ancient forgotten gods. We called it red quartz, a plain name, to avoid drawing attention to its otherworldly energetic properties, ones that can evoke in a brilliant mind like mine visions of a carbon-free future or flying cars and bullet trains. But then I checked the reports of the mental health department and became unsettled. So many miners suffered from bleak depression or something worse without explanation. I tried to understand the problem, so I dug up some stories about these mountains, and yes, I found some really dreadful stuff. But strangely, for an analytical brain as mine, I knew that the core of what I was reading was the truth. How the red quartz was created, the powers we were meddling with. As with many other things, the natives were the first to notice. Broken people, like our miners, going missing. The mountain was hungry. One of the darkest stories. It feeds on fear, the fears of the missing ones. It created another reality, a carnival of fears. Carnival of those fears. Trap the people and fester in their eternal anguish. When the person is consumed, it becomes part of the mountain, and the very essence of their life is extracted and turns into red quartz. All of this is true as gravity. I tried to warn my fellow colleagues. It was, of course, useless. They thought that age had finally eroded my mind and spirit, and because I insisted, they fired me. That's why I had to start the fire. Wow. Small price to pay to free the people of Bethelwood from the grasp of that wretched mind. That was what I thought, but Tom surprised me with his everlasting greed. They built this town again. They moved it to the other side of the valley and tried to reopen the mine. Everything I did, the pain and havoc I caused, was for nothing. Everyone about the wood is still in danger. Now there's nothing else I can do. The mountain has trapped me. I've seen what it does with my own eyes. I've seen its corrupted heart. All the wrongs that I've done in my life are here to torment me. It's all just a matter of time until I have to pay the ultimate price for all the people that died in that fire. I can hear the burning flame coming closer. My time to atone. It's time to atone.
Book. It's over now.
Synced it. Looks like a piece of the cable car. Yeah. So I need all the pieces of the cable car? It says all items. Can I do it with just the cable car? How many do I need? I need Wait, is that like that? Oh no, I have 6. Those are tied to the people, so I have 4 more of those to find. Look at this.
Okay. I must be going nuts.
It's the heart of the mine. Alright, bye. Stop haunting the town, yeah? It's kind of like Tommy Knockers, but instead of like turning into alien freak monsters, they wait, kind of a little bit. And there's like the stroke of genius before they start doing it. Okay. In area. Oh, there's one more down here. Hang on. Okay, maybe out here, but let me give one more look-see. I probably am missing one. It's really nice of the game to let me do this after the fact. Most games would make you either start over or from like an earlier save. This game's short enough to where I wouldn't hate it if it made me start over. This is definitely convenient. Hell yeah. And it's out here, right? Yeah. One more. Hey, you boys still working? Oh shit! Wait, okay. Alright, I'm gonna look around for that extra corpse. Yeah, for a few more hours. Dang. Well, that would go smoothly. Thanks for hanging out. I talk shit, but I appreciate it. Oh, it's probably in here in the maze. I don't think I've been in this maze. Have I? I hear something patrolling. Oh shit, what is this? Ah! Blood quartz radar? There's something hidden inside this little cage. I don't know what it is, but it makes a sound when blood quartz is nearby. I know I can smell your breath through my phone. Shines on, and it will also reveal all the blood quartz on the map. Holy shit, that's awesome. Can it reveal the innocent people? I forget what they called them. All the frozen people that I have to give blood quartz to. Oh, yep, there's one. There's one.
It's okay. You can go.
All right, 3 more. Looks like a piece of the... Yeah.
It's another...
Also, they are printed, not handwritten, so what about that? And they have just a single entry. There's no way those are diaries. These are memories turned into books by the dark thing behind all the other madness around. I'm sure of that. The thing in the list, the ticket fragments, I synced it through the cracks. That they are all like a piece of paper inside. I'm not sure what it is, but it looks like a piece of a ticket for the cable car. I have one myself, but I don't remember where I got it. That's what scares me the most because it kind of links me with them. I'm thinking about throwing it somewhere, but I can't force myself to do it. It feels important. I don't know what to think. I don't want to die in this place, and I definitely don't want to turn into a rock. But at the same time, there's this weird thought I can't shake off my head. If I become one of them, where will the book... Will there be a book about me?
Strange book.
You know what? I'm not afraid anymore. Go bitch ass over here. Get your bitch ass over here. Oh, bitch. I call them freeloaders. Wait, why do you call them freeloaders? So I'm done here. I guess I could check the main building. What else is out here? So this area is actually donezo now. Let me get back inside. Dude, what about all those chained doors? They gotta be in there. Like, how do I get on the... can I get to the second floor? I'm sure I can. They sit around waiting until you give them something? Oh, I see.
I might need this.
I really like that this game lets me do this. This is nice of them. That's nice. I need new batteries. I think that's what I have to do. Let me try going on the second floor. Possibly. And yeah, there's some shit out here. What's yeah, this is the same area. How do I get over? I forget. Oh, what's in here? School courtyard? No, I don't want to go to the school courtyard. Oh, maybe I do have to go. Oh, there's batteries. Where batteries at? Down here? No, they're over here. Oh! Oh, that was close.
Find your keepers.
Let me just check. I don't think there's one down here.
This door opens automatically. Oh yeah, there's none in here, but maybe the arcade. I wish I could check individual areas, you know? Like I won't know until I get to the arcade that there's one in there, you know? Which I don't think there is, but I'm just going through the motions. Hoping these bitches don't see me. 'Cause I am done out here. Also, I like that they're not, I don't think they're respawning. If there's one over here and he's back, but I think there's numbered enemies in here and I think they stay dead. Yo, this PC game? Yeah, this is a PC game. Hey, what up, Bear? So, this was a Stadia game. Remember the Stadia? And I actually liked it. I just didn't get to finish it before they shut down the service. This is like the 8th time I've said this during this playthrough. But like, I guess like a year after it launched or whatever, they ported it to everything else. So I got to play it. But yes, this is a PC game now. Also a PlayStation 4 game. It's a Switch game, I believe. What are you up to, man? That's good, I got saved. No, it is, because like any other game, you could pirate it, right? But you never got the install files. You streamed it from their fucking servers. So it was gone, you know? I'm really glad it's out. I like this game. It's like, it's cute. It's like, I keep saying it reminds me a lot of a like an Alan Wake meets Coraline with a dash of Silent Hill. Playing a Warriors type game. Which one? Is it actually from that studio? Yeah, I can see it. Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna go to the arcade. I'm just gonna chickadee check it, and then if it's not there, I'll leave. Yeah, in the area we're done. So we'll go check the arcade. I doubt there's anything in there, but better safe than sorry. One Piece Pirate Warriors 4. I should really start One Piece someday. Oh, there's none in here. I got everything in here. Okay. All right, we're leaving. We are leaving. I'm supposed to stop playing. Dude, it's good. I'm probably gonna wait. Yeah, it's a lot. I'm gonna wait for the new animation that they're gonna do. You know the one on Netflix? But it's really good. No, I hear it's like the most popular anime. I'm pretty sure. Fair. I mean, at this point, I might as well wait a little longer for that because I think it's what, this year, next year. It's soonish. And it's like One Piece Kai. It's the longest running for sure, and I don't have time, dude. I'm having a hard time watching The Last Airbender that Cyberlight can let me borrow. You know, it's been months. I'm still on like at the end of book 1. I just don't give myself enough time to watch things like I should. And 1,000 plus episode anime, I don't think I'll be able to do it. It's like SpongeBob, you know. Remember when Barnacle Boy wanted to eat the big sandwich and he wouldn't let him? And he was like, "It's too big for you. You'll never finish it." That's me in One Piece. New season starts like this week. Oh, and I heard that they're going instead of weekly, like they have been for like years, to like actual seasons, right? Like something in like a certain amount. How many are in here? There's one in here. Fuck. Okay, I'm gonna find that quartz. See how to get over there. I forget. Are these motherfuckers still wandering around? How do we get over there? First floor. I can cut through there, but I'm just gonna see if I can go around now. Yeah, they started doing weekly for a long time, but they took a break and before the start of the new arc. Good. Good. I think you'd like this game. Bitch. Fucking die, motherfucker. Those are something I would have fun playing. Yeah, like it's nothing special. But it does what it does well. It's like a nice, like, kind of a cozy horror game. Even though it does have its moments, it's got me a couple times. Like, I like the cutesy creepy vibes it's got, you know? The fuck is that? Oh, it's the door where Homeboy helps us escape. Actually, I think that's where I go to get to the ending. Let me see. But yeah. Oh yeah, you're playing your Warriors game. Your One Piece. Yeah. This way. And no. Because I see where the quartz is. And I'm guessing, oh, and then that's where that corpse. See, quartz and corpse. Nice. Oh, yeah, almost cozy like Crow Country, but not as fucked up. At least it seems that way. Crow Country was pretty fucked up. This one, I'd say it's a bit more lighthearted, but it's like, it'd be like a hard PG or like a soft PG-13 if it was like a movie, you know what I mean? Like back when PG meant something. Like a titty would pop out or something. Dude, that game's super fucked up. Yeah, so Coraline? Yeah. Yeah, that's PG, isn't it? Can I go this way? Bitch. Hold on. Make note of the batteries there. PG-13, I think. Okay, okay. Really? Coraline's pretty dark too. It's like once you realize what's happening, you're like, God damn, that's actually awful. Dude, it's super fucked. Yeah, I kind of want to watch Coraline again. I haven't seen it in a long time, actually. Can I get up there? I feel like I can get up there. How do I charge you? Show me your secrets. Was my niece's favorite film for years. Ooh, how old is she now? She was like 4 last time. She's probably like, what, 9, 10? How to get in there? Let me in. Let me in. 12? Damn, dude. My niece is fucking 22, dude. The bitch keeps growing. How do I get in there? That's not fair. I don't like it. I want to find out. LMAO. Yeah. Turning 12 in 3 days. Damn, man. We gotta put a stop to this. We have to like stop time or something. Put him in like a little time bubble. Okay, now that I'm up here. Now what? Like, there's a crank right there that I opened, but and there's the boiler room, and then that did something, I'm pretty sure. On the first floor? No, I'm on the second floor. Oh. Let me see if this works actually. Because I'm not gonna lie, this is a little frustrating. I genuinely don't know how to get. Well, let me look around. I'm missing something. Clearly, obviously. Like it's tied to this vent. This vent is on the map, and it leads to something up there. You know? Can I knock something down? Maybe. I need to go back to a vending machine. I might. Let me go grab a... No, because I need a target to throw it at. I don't see anything. Dude, it's been a minute since we played Warriors. You played a Warriors game. These games are so mindlessly fun. I never really got into them. Honestly, the only Dynasty Warriors game where I was like, eh. I was like, it's fine. It was on PSP, and that was just because like it was like one of 3 games I had when I got my PSP. Behind the TVs? Is it behind the podium? I pushed something? That's not. Those are benches. Those aren't podiums. All right, I'm gonna go back up here, and I'm gonna do one more thing. I'm gonna go check some. Oh, actually, maybe I wonder. I doubt it. I don't even think I can throw that high, but let me see. No, I can't throw that high. Keep this thing on me, though. I'm sorry, I can't help with this, brother. I haven't seen enough of what's going on to be useful to you. Oh, no, it's fine. It's fine. I actually prefer no back seating unless I ask. Bro, if you're ever gonna play a Warriors game, go play Hyrule Warriors. Dude, I need to play most of the Zelda games. I'm behind on those, too. Oh, it's a hit. I almost want to cheat and look it up. I'm not above a good Google if I can't figure something. I'll give you like 15 minutes, you know? I think after that you can suck my cock. No, that's not it. Oh wait, word? That actually has a frozen texture on it. Oh. All right, let me go check out this area. I'll be back, bitch. I'll judge you, but not that harshly. Yeah, I've only ever finished the original Minish Cap. Oh, hell yeah. And I think I'm like mostly done. I'm like in the last fifth, I think, of Twilight Princess. And then I started A Link to the Past with a coworker. All right, we're good. Figured it out. Something evil down here. Oh. The only Warriors kind of game that I would like to play is Persona 5 Strikers, but I can't do that until I actually finish Persona 5.
A strange book.
The game is amazing. Yeah, that's the one I want to play if I were to play a I wonder if that connects actually.
It's locked with a chain.
Oh, I gotta go run anyway. Warriors game. But I need to finish Persona 5. Because that's from the same developer, right? That's whatever you call it. I'll go downstairs. I'll check this shit out. I bought that on launch, and that's because I'm a huge Persona 5 stan. And yeah, Atlas. Yeah, Atlas. I was talking about. Is it a collaboration between Atlas and because I knew Atlas, but that other studio, the one that makes the Warriors games. Oh wait, Tecmo? Is that who it is? I feel like I'm wrong. Think so? Yeah. I think so too, but I'm not positive. Bandai Namco. Oh, is it Namco? I said Bandai Namco. Fucking stupid ass. Actually, I wonder if I can like Bamco. I like that. All right, this is the same vent. I wonder if I can go up. No. Why the fuck not? What I need is right here. Or is it? Bamco. Sorry, ads. Oh, that's fine. You're good, man. It happens, bruv. There was something in here. Dog, I'm gonna have to use a guide to get this fucking one solved. Some of those vents are just hiding spots, but sometimes they connect to shit, and I'm wondering how do I get... How do? Okay, LOL. Oh, you're back? Yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, how the fuck? Hold on. Do I have to throw... Let me check one last thing, because that is the same spot, isn't it? Right there. Then check. Is. Do I have to hit it with a can and drop it down, maybe? Let me try that. Have you played Tormented Souls 1 or 2? Is 2 out? I have 1. It's actually a game that I was requested to stream. I just haven't gotten into it yet. But I can. I've not played it. It's on my list. 2 is out indeed. Nice. I liked what I played 1 for like an hour and then I got distracted, you know. Wasn't bad. I didn't dislike it. I just didn't finish it or really get that hook in me, you know. Pretty fucking tough, man. Yeah, I've heard. Very classic RE. That's a good thing. Is it up here? Yeah, I'll probably try it out sooner or later. The next series that I'm gonna marathon after Grandia, which that wasn't intentional, but it is turning out to be like a Grandia marathon. Fuck. Can't throw it up there. Is Onimusha. I've beaten them both. Nice. Good shit. I'm probably gonna stream Onimusha after Grandia. Grandia. Why did I say Grandia? Fuck you. You say anime? No, it's anime. Dude, I need to get on Onimusha. Have you not played it before? Oh, you played it. You're like a Capcom guy. Is this new one's coming out? Yeah, dude, new one looks amazing too. Way of the Sword. You played Onimusha? Very little? Okay, yeah, do get on that. I used to have all 4 of them on PS2, but when the remaster came out, I fucking traded one in for it, and I kind of regret it because the soundtrack changed. I didn't know that when I bought it. But I still have 2, 3, 4, and Tactics, all physical. Complete in, oh no, Tactics is, actually? No, Tactics isn't complete in box, but I do have the manual for it. I think. Let me double check. What the fuck do I do? See if I can't knock anything over. Cheat. Yeah, I'm about to. Got that fucking bird. Mike Boyd. He's Mike Boyd. I feel like I gotta go in here, but it's not doing shit. So let me see. Quartz, second floor, Gylt. Quartz with a Z. Second floor, Gylt, main building. Fucking where? Second floor. Stations. At least labeled. Okay, main building, automatic. Main building, second floor. Got that one. Building, Port Street, Shade Street, main building 2. Okay. 11, or the bathroom. I found that one. Let me check the
I might need this.
Actually, hold on. Maybe I didn't get here. Let me see. Check the map, bitch. Check the map. God damn it. I know where it's at. Are you playing as a little girl or a little boy? Never mind, LMAO Sally. Yeah, I found it. I know where it's at. It's above the bathroom area. I gotta go this way. The vent does connect. But yeah, I'm playing as Sally, and then I'm looking for my cousin Emily. Well, apparently I'm an asshole too. This game's pretty sick though. I dig it. I dig it. I would actually play it again. There's more batteries in here. Yeah, there is an enemy here. It's over here. I never saw this. I thought I got this one already, but I guess not.
Nice.
Nice. Anya. Dom. And then to the first floor, and I think I just get out through there. I don't really want to. Because I think this is to the roof. There's a door here that takes me somewhere. Oh no, I can't. It's just overlooking it. But yeah, everything in here is 9, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 5. Right in the butt. Let's go. We get that. Oh, I didn't even have to do that. I wasted it, but it's okay because I'm never coming back here again. Whoop.
I'll take this.
Yoink. You know what? I wasn't planning on it, but I'm gonna try to get the good ending. I'm gonna stick here tonight. I'm doing it. Okay. I got like what, like an hour tops. I'm fine. I'm a big boy. I'm a big boy. Wrong way. I just wish I could see like the full map. Like I can check out other areas, but I have to be in the area to see the map, I think. Yeah. I'm just a little baby. I believe in you. Thanks, man. No. Is this gonna take me to the ending, or do I have to go back to the backyard? If it takes me to the ending, it's fine because it'll save. And I'll just skip everything. Yeah, I don't think I want to go through here. I think I want to backtrack, go back where I came. Yeah, that's gonna take me to the ending. I'm fairly certain. But yeah. Watch it not be the right way. And it's probably some of the sewers or the mines, which I kind of forgot how to get to. To the gym. The gym connects to the mines. Let me go check the gym. Or the auditorium. I'll go to the auditorium. I imagine it in there. Also, do I have all the... No, I'm missing one quartz. So it's, admin building, the parking. Did I? Yeah, that's where I came from, but let me just see. Let me see. Yep, that's all collected. Arcade, nothing was in there. Nothing at the gas station. Okay, yeah. And there's some shit down here. I think I can enter anything over here. There's probably some in the auditorium. There's these invisible bitches. They're scary. There's one in here. Oh, it's probably over here. This area that I can't get to. Can I? I'll try through the office. Or from the second floor. Probably what I have to do. Oh, there they are. Bye! Let me just double check in here though while I'm here. Oh, fuck, that kind of startled me. Julie, your event. Be careful. No. No. Oh, so you don't die. You just come back later. All right. A little frustrating. Okay. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. I don't like that. Same fucking room. God damn it. Right. Where you at? There you are. Actually, I'm just gonna look it up. Auditorium. Show me. We got over here. Is this the auditorium? Yep. First floor. How'd you get over there? Got that one. How'd that... Wait, no. How'd that bitch get in there? Okay. Yeah, that's the Arts Center. I got that one. Hold on, bitch. Start this over. Fell in there. First floor office. Yeah, okay, I got that one. There's two here. Good. I got that one. There's more. Oh, I'm just being impatient. Oh, do I come back to the auditorium? That's what it is, right? Nice. This one says gym, street, art center, auditorium, main building, street, arcade, street, main building. You're missing one. Right. Oh, I got the courts here, but where's the person to save? They're in there. How do I get in there? What are they called? Inhabitants. Gylt, auditorium, inhabitant. The fuck? Hey, what up, Bloody? How you doing, man? I'm lost. Fucking lost, dog. How you doing? Fuck you, Bloody. Bloody, fuck you. Nice. I didn't hear that one too often, you know. Main building, nor going to the sewer building. All right, I beat the game, but I'm looking for these secrets. And I'm like, what the fuck are they? I don't know how to get there. What are you up to, man? You playing anything? First floor. Same room, opposite diary. It's in the I'm going full screen. Stop it. F11. What is it? Fucked up. Back. Diary. After entering the auditorium, go to immediate left, past the TV sets, crouch through the red curtain. Wait, I could do that. You're looking it up? You butt fucking cheater? Yeah. What of it? Been too damn long. Ah, no, it's so easy to find it. Ah. Joey. Wow. Fuck you. Everything's hidden in shadows. I don't gotta deal with this.
It's another strange book.
This game's pretty cool though. I dig it. It's Silent Hill for babies. Like a Pixar made fucking Alan Wake. That back on. Yeah, I should be embarrassed about that one, man. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. You should be embarrassed because your fucking face. Where that though? Where they at? No. Where they at? No. I heard the new RE movie. It's funny, dude. Everybody I'm talking to is saying that. I'm so excited. I heard the new RE movie is getting same reviews as. Oh no, it's not. Fuck you. I got excited before I finished that sentence. Did before it releases. Did Resident Evil Netflix get good reviews before? Gotcha. Yeah, you got me. No. You heard it too, right? It's getting really good early screening reviews. I sure hope it's good. Boy, I do too. Section. How to get to the auditorium? I think it is. I mean, I enjoyed the last one. It's probably the closest to the games we've gotten so far as trying to actually adapt it and look like it. What if it's so good they do a verse movie game adaptation? That'd be kind of cool. That would actually be kind of interesting. Oh, it's this door. That's stupid. Fuck you, Joey. Fuck you, Barrett. That last one was horrendous, and you know it. No, it wasn't. I enjoyed it. Like, it's a dumb, low-budget B movie, but it's at least trying to be Resident Evil, which is nice. Let me check the arts. I think all the animated ones are pretty enjoyable, though. And they're canon. So, there's one here, too. And there's a quartz. This is probably in that... I know where it's at.
But fuck, those goddamn stealthy bitches are here. No, they did the character assassination of Leon in the last movie, and yes, the CG ones are great. Dumb but great.
I love you.
I think the big thing with Leon was that he just didn't do anything until the end. But I mean, RE2 Leon is kind of a dork, so... but that movie is a victim of its slashed budget during production. But even then, it's fine. It's not great. It's not horrible. It's not horrendous. As somebody who just wants to see Resident Evil on screen, it did a good job. It could do better. It just needed more money. Also, let people enjoy things. Let's see. And here. Okay, I got this now. Mine. How many more do I need? One more. This is the last one. I think I can get the good ending.
Finders keepers.
I think he's over. Oh, wait. Second floor.
Don't hide.
You need two more. Two more on your chin. That's right. Oh, wait. I'm supposed to be stealthing around. Where that bitch at? I know she's down here. You walking? Sorry, but no, man. I can't stand any more mediocre to complete shit live action adaptations. My soul can't take so much, man. Not just you, dog. It's fine. Not your cup of tea.
You can trust me.
I don't think I can trust you. Let's see. I'll take that inhaler. Oh shit, I actually do need that. Next thing you're gonna say is you're a fan of the Netflix DMC. I didn't hate it.
Let me help.
Did I lock myself out of this? No, I should be able to find it. Fuck you. I'm not even trying to troll you. I enjoyed it. Netflix DMC was good. I unironically enjoyed it. And it's okay if you didn't. We need to crash out. We still be friends. It's genuinely offensively bad. I'm so mad right now.
Locked with a chain.
I didn't even watch it, but it can't be worse than Netflix RE show. Yeah, it can't be. That's like one of the worst things I've ever seen. I'll give you that. I hated the Resident Evil Netflix show. How, where, and why? It's actually worse. Dude, it is. Nah.
Don't hide.
Wait, what the fuck is the point of being in here?
Are you there?
I have to get to the second floor, right? Did I lock myself out of this? Oh, no, I have to open the fucking elevator and get this bitch out. Damn it, I was hoping to avoid that. I don't think I could trust her. Alright, let's try this. Was it canceled mid-season? It wasn't that... Then it wasn't as bad. Oh yeah, Netflix, Resident Evil. It got canceled after like a week. I was like, good! Oh, get out, bitch! Alright. I think
This is what I have to do, right? Yup, there we go. Got it. It turns DMZ into a metaphor of 9/11 and other sorts of garbage.
It's another strange book.
They make Virgil a hero.
It's over now.
I like how you all caps to that. Virgil's the biggest villain. Wait for season 2. Maybe they'll get it right this time. All he has ever cared about is power.
Don't hide.
Changes nothing for me. I still enjoyed it for what it was. Animation was cool. It was violent. Even though he voices Nero, I actually liked his portrayal of Dante. I don't know. And I'm not trying to piss you off. I liked it. The DMC anime, yeah. No, dude, I can't stand pretending I'm watching Dante when all I hear is Nero talking. I got all the. Oh wait, what am I missing? What are those? Oh, the pictures. They have to be in the gym. Or in the fucking... Yeah. Lines? I should have really been checking my map before moving on. Alright, here we got... In this area... Everything. It's got to be in the... Sewer, then. How do I get to the sewers? To the basement? Yeah. Oh yeah, dude, I love that intro. I like how Limp Bizkit did the intro song and all the rock music, like Last Resort and the motorcycle fight. Yeah, dude, I loved it. I loved that stuff for sure. It's still locked.
It's locked from the other side.
Yeah. Whee! Alright, is it here? No. But let me go through here. I gave it a genuine try to the show, decided to split my face for my fandom. Also, they ruined Lady. Yeah, Lady was a bit off. I'll give you that one. But still, I mean, you can keep listening to stuff you don't like. It doesn't change how I feel about it. I enjoyed it. I'm excited for season 2. Like, you can't even walk her back in season 2. A bit? All caps. A bit! That's how... I bet you that's how he said it. I think I do need to find those fucking letters too. Or hold on. Let me look up real quick. I do have to get the last 2 paintings too. God damn it. Where are they? Where are they? I still love you, but fuck, man. It's okay, man. It's okay. Let it go. Let it go, Barrett. Woosah. There's real things to be upset about, you know? Dude, I think it might be back in the school. Fuck. Courtyard. So. How do I get to that last area? I don't think there was anything in that last area. Was there? Let me look it up. It might be Mines, Art Center, gym, school courtyard. Please don't say. Okay, I think I'm good. No, because all the real things are super fucked and scary. Yeah, this is true. I'm just saying, I understand your disappointment as a fan, and I'm sorry about that. But I liked it. You know? Joey, I want to punch you in the ball so bad. Oh, it's funny, I didn't see that. Come get some. Dude, how the fuck do I get to... I'll go back to the school. It might be in the fucking school. If it's in the school... I don't know. I wish it let me see where things were without actually having to go to that area, you know? Nah, saying? Nah, I mean? Where's the last fucking painting? I really hope it's not. Let me just double check the auditorium while I'm here. Here? It might be. One's here. Okay. I would have actually given it more of a chance if it actually respected the source material instead of changing it entirely, because fuck it. Yeah. I probably liked it more, but I liked it for what it was. But like I said, I totally get it. I feel you. I want to do this. Also, Adi's favorite DMC is the one, you know, that I have the most issues with. I don't want to piss you off, Barrett. It's just easy to, okay? But I like I like DMC. I like the Ninja Theory one. Ninja Theory? It's Ninja Theory. Auditorium, first floor, diary. I'm looking for auditorium built painting location. The only way this show would have had any redemptions is if he was removed from the project entirely. Ads again. Ah, that happens. That happens. All right, let's go to the auditorium. And the other one is probably in the school. So, building, auditorium. Where does shit at? Second floor. There's. Oh, wait. Right there. Bruh. Bruh. Where are you at? Get the fuck away from me. Fuck you, bitch. Also, I didn't realize you left footprints. That's kind of cool. It's up here. Long toe, Sally. I should have checked over here. Oh my god. And then I imagine the last one is going to be at the main building, which is hopefully it's... Let me check. Because if there's one in the sewers, we might be screwed. In the gym. Let me check the gym. I'm gonna check the gym, and then I'll go back to the school. Oh, no, bitch! That stung, asswipe. Can't breathe. My asthma. Yeah, he checked. Dude, this has always been my biggest problem with that DMC. The combat is exceptionally good. Like, yeah, dude, this is a great game to play. Novel design is fucking great. It's the story and the characters are complete dog shit in that game. I like their reinterpretation of it. I really do. Like, I like how Hell is like Constantine, like the limbos here and there, you know? I like, oh fuck, what's her name? Not the chick, the witch. And I kind of dug like how Virgil's part of like Anon. Okay, now to be honest with you, I am fucking with you a little bit, but I do like those things about it, but I do understand why they upset you. Oh, dude, okay, so you know how like they're kind of doing this thing where like Hell's influencing like our world, and like how like I like how they do all that with like the corporate like demon, which is funny. I like the Glenn Beck head boss fight, and another thing, here's something that I wish they did. You know the fuck you, like the big succubus bitch. That one, she's a succubus, but she looks like a big like ball sack with a face on it. I kind of wish that they had like a real world comparison, because it's like this sludge that they're selling people, right? It's like Mountain Dew or Monster, and it's influencing them with like the demon stuff. I kind of wish that they had a spokesperson, like a model that was like for the brand, and then that was her in hell. Like she's hot here and she looks like that in hell. I wish they would have done something like that with her. That's the best boss fight in the game, the going back one. Yeah, the boss fight succubus is the worst by far. Yeah, that part sucked. I like the line, the fuck you, fuck you, oh, fuck you, fuck you. I still quote that. But yeah, I wish that like she was hot in the real world rather than just being like a factory. Yeah, no. You don't have to like it. It's okay. That's not Dante or DMC. Well, the title and the main character say otherwise. Like name it anything else. Cry May Devil. I imagine like when you press start, cry May Devil. Fuck you. They know they made a mistake. I mean, it sure hurt our wallet, but I was trying to think of a good way to put this. It's in my top 3. DMC is in my top 3. I know 5 is the better game, but I'm still attached to 3 for a lot of reasons. I think 3 had like the story, the fucking, at the time, the graphics, the young Dante is a fucking blast, you know? It would be in descending order. 3, 5, DMC. I'd rather play DMC than 1, 6, especially 2. 4 is debatable. I like 4. 3 is the best of the franchise, and gameplay wise is 5. Yeah, I do. I agree with that. And then DMC is the best of both. No, it really was trying to do its own thing. I do see your point. Oh, hold on. Is it even in here? Where the fuck is the last? Oh, I'm gonna throw a fit. Hang on. Where is it? And is it in the street? Emporium, Art Center. It might be in the fucking Art Center. Hold on. Joey. I am messing with you a little bit now, to be honest. But what I'm saying is true. Okay? Not the part about it being the best of both. I genuinely like that game. I know you are. Okay, yeah. Like a little bit, just a little bit. Like I could shut up and change the subject, but I like DMC, so I'm gonna talk about it. That's working, you bitch. Dude, it's not even that hard. Like I'm not even trying to trigger you. I'm just saying my opinion about it, which is crazy. Fuck, where's the last one? It's probably in the arts. Let me check. Let me go check. I don't know where it is. It's annoying me. Gym, auditorium. Let me check the art center. It's probably in there. You know what? You were getting into talking to me. You know, I've been insane for many years now. Yeah. Yeah. It's cool, man. We all go a little mad sometimes. Hey, cheers, bud. This is for you. It's in here. Hell yeah. Center. To be fair, Last of Us 2 is better than all the DMCs combined. Good night, peace, dude. You're gonna fucking give him an aneurysm. Yep. All right, peace out, bloody. Get out of here before the nuke reaches you. Oh man. First floor of the art center. Second floor of the auditorium. First floor. I'll just look at rage, fucking rage. I imagine, you know what I imagine? You know in Mystery Men when Ben Stiller gets all raged out and he's like, "Ah!" And then the camera like pans up. I imagine that. Have you ever watched Big Mouth? I saw like a season, maybe 2. I liked what I saw. I don't think it's particularly amazing, but I liked it. I was about to, okay, I really was gonna mess with you. I was gonna be like, I like DMC more than Big Mouth, but I don't know. Your blood pressure is rising. I can smell it. How do you get over here? Where the map, bitch? Warehouse. Warehouse? No, I have like literally the perfect example of For You from that show. Oh, well, I might not remember the reference. You'll have to send like a video of it or something.
Come here.
Oh shit, that's right. This bitch is around here. Be gone! Thought! Auditorium house. Okay, it's in here. I missed it. It's in here. I need to hide. You're scaring me. Oh, she's in here, I think, actually. There's a bit in Big Mouth where Maurice, the hormone monster, crashes out and just yells, "Rage, rage, fucking rage!" Oh, okay. That's what you were doing. Yeah, I don't really remember that. All right. Let's go get that good ending, fam. Go back to the courtyard and go back to the main building. I'll have to look up the episode. Who voices Maurice again? Does Nick Kroll do both, him and the main character? No, it's who does voice? Is it Eric Andre? Who voices Maurice? Yes, Nick Kroll does both. Okay, yeah, Nick Kroll does like half the cast, doesn't he? Nick Kroll, yeah, he's like fucking Eddie Murphy in that show. I think he voices like damn near everyone, like a good chunk, like a handful. Building, yeah, he does like a bunch of characters. Yeah, he's really good. Dude's funny. He might have been my favorite character in the league. Close to half at least. Yeah, like the main cast. Yeah. You know what's funny? I'm so dyslexic. I didn't even see that typo. I read that as least. Ah, all right. Let me get the good ending. Actually, I should read these last journals because it's gonna be a while before I read this, and I should. All right. Homeless. I lost everything. Most of us are nowadays, right? The fire, the mind, this voice in the loudspeakers. I don't know what to do. This is too much to deal with. The scary message was blasting in the emergency broadcast, talking about landslide, about an immediate evacuation. When the men from Tom arrived, I told them, please let me look for Jacob. I said that I couldn't find him, but they dragged me away. Some minutes later, the whole town was crushed under tons of rocks and fire and ash. Oh my God. Oh. Did they even listen? I have to go back up there. I have to look for him, but they won't let me. I'm here, caged with the rest of the townsfolk in this disgusting shelter filled with bunk beds. This makes no sense. I had a life. How can this be happening? People are gathering around the men from Tom. They talk about rebuilding the whole town and giving us new homes. Some of them are even celebrating. I can't listen to them. Makes me sick. I need to get out. I need to go back. Go back to Bethelwood. My home is there with Jacob under the rocks. I have a cable car ticket. I bought it today because I was planning to visit Jacob later. But they're at the mine. What am I supposed to do with it now? Now it won't take me anymore. There's nothing at the other end of that cable car, just the buried remains of my life, our life. I knew it. I was right. They called me crazy. Morons. They are the crazy ones. They were blind. The truth was right there all the time. All this time. First, you've got all those legends, those native stories about the mountain. It's cursed. I mean, everybody's heard that, right? So the location is important. It is not random at all. That's why Tom decided to dig here. Of all the places, they were looking for the mountain's secrets. Then those 3 miners disappeared back in the 60s, and people started talking about the mine being cursed. So what did they do? They covered everything up. Called it an accident. An accident. Yeah, right. He totally went when he wrote that. I'm the only one who finds it a little
It's strange that a private company like Tom would pay to rebuild the whole town. For what? Avoiding a lawsuit? They spent millions of dollars on this. It doesn't make sense. There's no way Tom was able to afford it. Obviously, the government was involved or something bigger. There's always a bigger fish. But what about the other cases of missing persons? There's been 6 unsolved cases in Bethelwood over the last 30 years. 6! And every single one was depressed before they went missing. Seriously, no one thinks these are related. It's the same thing all over again. And why is that? Because they're messing with the mountain. I can finally prove it. I found them. The missing people. They've been here the whole time. They're in Bethelwood or some sort of twisted version of it. It's obviously some kind of parallel dimension. This is the place that Forgotten wind up, where they fall through the cracks. And I'm here with them. Nobody listening to me. Oh, it's that guy. I forgot his name. Starts with a C. Sharon. But I'm gonna make them listen. I've got my camera. I'll take pictures of everything. I gotta find a way out of here before these aliens eat my brain. Found a woman with a weird radioactive eyes. She looks at my mom, like my mom. I don't know. I think she's a ghost. She told me that use that ticket to get the hell out of here. No problem. The aliens are afraid of the camera flash, so I can still put up a fight. I'll fight. I'll win. I'm not going to turn into a stone like anyone else. Is the right one? Okay. Starting at the bottom. I broke into someone's house today. I had to. The monsters were chasing me. I needed a place to hide. I was on the run, so I entered through a window, most direct way, breaking the glass. The house looked perfectly normal from the outside, but inside it was like a mine. I saw the pipes bursting in steam, mining tools, bulb elements, wagons, picks, even Tom propaganda glued to the cavernous corridors with railways leading to the darkness. Really over the top, absolutely absurd. I'm really mad now. Why? Because it doesn't add up. Come on. I thought I knew what was going on. I'm an expert psychoanalyst, one of the best. I'm used to interpreting the subconscious. So after some time this place, I noticed that all of the madness around me was not random. Clearly, I was transforming my surroundings with my own perception. Terrified of spiders, so I'm being chased by arachnid creatures. I feel guilty for not speaking to my brother in 6 years, so here's a phony clone of him with eerie green eyes chasing me around. It's clearly a nightmare scenario. I don't know what's generating this, but I'm pretty sure that everything is coming out of my own mind. But then every time I went somewhere I've never been, like inside this random house or down the sewers, I see the mine. The mine. It makes no sense. Why the mine? Maybe the legends are true. Those native tales that old Tom execs are used to ramble about. They say that it's cursed. It's been trapping people inside like flies in a fly trap one by one for years. I think I'm one of them now. There's a ticket for the cable car in my pocket, probably my own imagination clinging to the pointless sense of hope, creating it to manifest my will of coming back home. That's a nice explanation, and I am brilliant. I am a brilliant psychoanalyst after all. I get what I see, but that's not going to help me. I'll never escape from this place. Nice. Alright, let's get the fuck out of here. Ah, shit! Oh. Why did I do that? I read on the fucking beam. Yep. Longer stream than I intended. There. Not. I have to go all the way around. Can I just cut through? I might be able to just cut through it. I'm just tripping. That'd be no silly goose. I might be. Hold on, let me see. I think I could have cut through. Take the long way. The long way. The long way. Damn it. It's funny because I think I exit that way. And then... Oop.
The cable car! Quick, Emily! There's no time!
When you arrived here, Sally, you left the door open. And only one can go back through it. You know the rules, Sally. No passenger can ride without a ticket.
What? No! After all we've been through, only one of us can leave?
Sally, you know why you're here. Give Emily your ticket. make things right. Hurry up.
Only one of us can use this ticket. What do I do?
I did open that painting, right? Pause and look. Okay, I got them all. Okay. I was worried. I was like, maybe I found it. I geeked out about Devil May Cry and then like booked it without even doing it. Is there anything I can leave?
Take the cable car. Emily has to stay here. If I give Emily the ticket, then I'll be trapped.
What's that? Sally, may I see that ticket?
I can give the ticket to him, but I don't know what he'll do.
What's that you've got there, Sally?
Nice.
Where did you find this? This material is not from here. It's from the outside. But this world has changed it. Made it into something entirely new. I think...
Like if you tore up the ticket, that'd be funny. Like he puts it together like he's about to right now, and then he rips it up.
Here. Take Emily and leave this place together. Thank you. Now go.
Fuck off.
Hurry up. Go.
Don't fucking touch me.
Sally,
Yes.
I was so mad at you. And
Aw.
I was so scared and alone.
Emily, I'm so sorry for what I did to you. If I just...
It's okay. You saved me. Thank you.
Yay! AD! Can I skip this? Okay, I can just quit, right? I got the trophy. What other trophies are remaining? What else is there? But I got it! Yeah, boy! Alright, what time is it? Pretty. Oh, it's not so bad. All right. Let's see. Good job. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Still playing your game? I'll click off this and actually exit the game. Did I get all the achievements? What's left? Yeah, hell yeah. Are you winning, son? Yeah, there's still 10 more of these. What's left? Hidden? Why are they fucking hidden? Defeat violence in the laboratory without being hit. Oh, I can actually do that now because I know what to do. But I do have to play this again. Yeah, not yet. Very easily. Aren't those the best? Like the easy ones? Like RE3 Remake? I think that's a pretty easy platinum. All right. They're very satisfying. Yeah, they are. Okay, you know what's gonna happen now? We are leaving. I have to watch my stream. Oh, I know what's gonna happen. We're gonna raid Vaughn, dude. Raid Vaughn. Yeah. All right. Well, everybody who's still here, thank you for hanging out. I always appreciate it. Barrett, it's good to see you. Good boy. A pleasure. Who else is here? The Pokemon app. Oh, B90. Hey, what up, man? This guy. You too, man. Yeah. I know you hate my opinions, but love, okay? Even though this is an obscenity, that's funny. I basically give you the UK middle finger. LOL. Lemon wedges. Let's go bug Vaughn for a bit, and then I'm gonna go shower and go to bed. Only a couple of them. Yeah. Keep talking. There will be more. I know. All right, peace out, bros. Countdown and T minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.